Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae, also known as Wildbow. You can read Worm in its original format by visiting parahumans.wordpress.com or donate to Wildbow's Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. This story isn't intended for young or sensitive readers. Readers who are on the lookout for trigger warnings are advised to give Worm a pass. For a complete list, check the description for all of Worm's trigger warnings.
Good morning, Brockton Bay. We got a whole lot of Endbringers to talk about, not a lot of time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this my ability is to take horse form, so it's Brockton Bay.
Oh, good, nice save.
Brockton Bay, can you dig it?
Wow.
It's good.
And I know you all can.
It was a horse mixed with...
Yeah, I don't
It's the guy from Warriors.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
There's
No,
so much
absolutely.
going on right now. What is happening?
So
Dude, he
confused.
unites all the gangs, you know.
Sure.
Warriors.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
You're doing
Anyway,
great.
I'll remember the guy's name later.
Welcome, everyone, to Arc 25 of Worm.
are you talking about Shaq?
No. No.
Oh my god.
He says
It's
Candy
Warriors.
doesn't bode
Shaq
well.
wasn't in Warriors.
No, he wasn't. All right, never mind. It's fine. Right. All right. I was
I have no idea what's happening right now, but I'm
Correctly,
so
and
I'm
doing
so
that.
lost. I don't
He's like,
know.
So the Warriors, he unites all of the. He leads the most powerful gang in New York City, and he unites all the gangs. But then, and while he's giving his big speech, like the end of his speech, he goes, "Can you dig it?"
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
Why does he say that though?
Sure.
Who's asking if they could dig it? Like he's giving like the hey, if we all join together, the cops won't do shit. Like,
Oh.
and then says, "Can you dig it?" And everybody digs it, but not everybody.
Almost everybody takes it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We are here.
Go watch Warriors is the point. It's a great film.
Okay.
Feels super.
Okay, but
I don't know what to call like
Alec, did
video
you not just
gamey.
hear Michael saying he's going to cut all of
We're
that?
cutting all of that.
He absolutely shouldn't. It's possibly the most relevant thing we've ever read. It's
What are
very
you talking about?
Undersiders-esque. Thank you very much.
I expect several clips posted in our Discord for our patrons to enjoy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you want clips of us out of context talking about stuff that's not relevant, subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah.
I was
Brockton
going to
Bay
say,
BC.
Look, it's the warm-up. You don't go into a podcast
did you
cold.
say the warm up or the worm up?
Whoa.
Jeez.
Oh!
That's okay, Michael. You can cut that, can't you?
That was funny.
That's a great one. That's a
What are you
banger.
talking about? You gotta keep that. You gotta keep that. Sorry. Anyways,
We'll bring it back. Bring it back down.
That's your
Chill
job,
out.
Jacob.
Everyone
You
take a
gotta
breath.
reel us
I'm
in.
trying so hard. I try every time. Oh,
you shall
All
not
right.
be reeled.
yeah. I gave up. I don't know. 14 arcs ago. Just gonna let it all die down on its own. Anyway, here we are, Arc 25. Let's get some initial thoughts. How do we all feel about this arc post Behemoth?
I like the first half.
Yeah.
First half.
I like the first chapter, maybe 2. Maybe bits and pieces of 4, some of 3.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair
I would
assessment.
describe it as fine. Yeah. Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't hit. I don't know why.
No.
There's just something about it that just felt only okay.
Time skips.
Yeah, I freaking despised the time skips. I thought when we got the first one, because it's not just one. There's 3.
Yeah, there's the
arc.
big one in chapter 6.
There's the big one. It's a 6-week, a 6-month, and then the big one, which they don't actually specify, I guess, exactly, or at least I didn't see it.
Mhm.
The first one, the first one happened, like the first 6 weeks, I was like, oh, I felt like it was a longer time skip, but like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. That was done well. I'm fine with that. And then Alan and I were chatting, and he was like, oh yeah, because with the time skip, and it had like spoiled some stuff, and I was like, wait, there's another time, like, damn it, like there's more to come. Great, that's fantastic. So didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I've spoken on my feelings towards time skips in general. I know amongst the fandom, the time skips are a bit split in terms of people who like them or don't like them. So I imagine there'd be...
Are they? Because I've never seen anybody defend them.
Defend's a strong word. I've seen people who's like, oh, I don't mind them, or oh, it didn't bother me, like that kind of thing.
Well, again, I didn't mind the first one. I wasn't a huge fan of the second one, but okay, fine, sure, fine, whatever. 6 months, okay. But I think it's specifically is it chapter 6 when
like the
big
year
skip has happened? Yeah, that entire chapter, I was so confused, I was lost, and I felt like there was so much good stuff that I wanted fleshed out that just wasn't. Like, we spent so much time, so much chapter time over like a span of 2 months at the beginning of this. And now we've gotten to like near the end of Worm, and a huge chunk of time has passed, like a year, I guess a year and a half? Total?
Yeah, well, it's...
more than that.
Yeah.
2 years?
Because Taylor turned 18.
It's
He's
almost
18
2
now,
years.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, no. That
Also,
just,
never forget that like a 6-week time skip at the beginning of this, if that's how long it was, is half of the existing story's time.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
We have never forget that all of the warlording, the taking over and holding territory took place in 2 months.
Yep.
And then we had like a month of Taylor sitting in prison / visiting different wards groups. Like the chronology of this is wild.
Yeah. And like Tecton has this like little one-off line that he says where he's like, you've spent more time with us than you ever did with the Undersiders. And I'm like, well, I would have really have liked to see that, because I fucking love the wards, and you denied me that. And now I'm a little salty about it.
Yeah.
A little saltine crackers about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say time skips can be very good. I don't want to say like a blanket statement. Time skips are always bad, of course, because
name 4 times.
Name 4.
Honestly, naming 4 time skips period would be difficult for me.
The one that I think makes it justifiable in my mind mostly is Naruto. The author of Naruto took a break for a while. He just had been writing for a long time. Naruto for a while was the number 1, number 2 manga in Japan. He took a break. The anime has a bunch of filler episodes. They're worthless, don't that. But in the actual anime or in the actual manga, which is now what became Naruto Shippuden, which is the far superior show in many regards, is a lot better. So I don't know. Thank you, Hannah. But yeah, so I don't know. I think the time skips can be done well. It's just a matter of, in this case, this jumping through time like we do here, I think is very disorienting. I think that's part of it. It's not that time skips can't be done well. It's just this one specifically is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Also, it's because I can, now that I'm like thinking about time skips, there are plenty of great time skips that happen, but they're all at the beginning of movies or shows where you have like the essentially the prologue,
like Hercules,
and then what?
Like in Hercules, Disney's Hercules,
or The Incredibles even.
Well, you have like an inciting incident, and then you have a time skip, and then you have the result of the inciting incident.
You got to quote Incredibles.
Yeah.
That's important to the podcast.
It really, we have to at least once. But I mean, that works because it's like, hey, this is the big thing that happened that changed the world. And now it's been some time, and this is how the world looks now. Like, that works.
Yeah. Honestly, I think we'll just jump straight to it. In terms of the time skip, I think it was just the writing. Like, I don't think the time skip was the problem here. I think it was just the confusing narrative, the way it was written. If we just said Taylor gets off the thing, it's been 2 years, she accepts her nomination into the protectorate. Like, and
like, let's make it very clear. Like, I don't want to be stumbling around in the dark for the majority of the chapter and then all of a sudden realize, oh my God, so much stuff has shifted and changed, and wait, now there's so many Endbringers, and like, it just,
yeah, I think it's so weird the way it's framed. And I think it would have been fine if it was literally just Taylor is nervous, she walks down the ramp, she accepts her nomination into the thing, and we just move on.
Yeah, I think what it feels like to me is Wildbow knew that he wanted to get from point A to point B story-wise, right? He wanted to get from Taylor joining the wards to Taylor turning 18 to the Jack stuff. I think there's probably a good sense that, this is kind of what people want. But at the same time, it feels, I don't know. It is weird. It's weird. There's also a lot of important stuff that happens here, though, right? So he didn't just want to footnote it.
Right, yeah. I feel like it could have taken an arc to do it rather than a chapter to do it, you know? Like, if we could have taken an arc, which, I mean, I guess that's kind of what he tried to do, but like, it really doesn't take an arc. He did it in a chapter, and that's what kills me. It's like, have this whole arc end at chapter 5, and then have the next arc be, each chapter is a 3-month in the future, okay, or 6-month in the future, so that like this next arc we know is like, okay, we're going to be racing through time. We're going to be seeing snippets of life in the wards as we pass along. It doesn't have to be in depth. It can be these little tiny moments to show that she's built a team. She's built camaraderie with the wards. She's built, a sense of, whatever it is to be inducted into the protectorate. Like, she's built this and she's proud of it. And the world is kind of crazy. Like, let's show it, not just tell us about it. Like, it's the classic, like, show, don't tell. Like, well, he just basically told us. And now I'm upset and sad.
Honestly, I think at best, if he'd done telling, just have somebody who's introducing her, or have her do it in the speech. Like, I know that, like, the Endbringer attacks have increased in,
over the past
sequence.
2 years,
frequency,
blah, blah, blah.
have increased in frequency. We've seen dark times, but we also saw the defeat of Behemoth. We did, this and that. Like, you could have that in a speech, and then she gets up and accepts her thing.
I mean,
if you want to do a one-off, just get it done.
I feel like that'd be
quickly.
really boring, though. Like, at least with
if you
this,
made it
there
a
are
paragraph.
Cool. How do you explain everything that happened in this arc in a paragraph of a speech?
Oh, easy. I just said it. Hey,
I mean, okay.
We defeated Behemoth. More things have shown up.
There's a lot more that happens than just that.
Not really.
The whole cauldron thing.
I mean, you could add that to her doing like that could be something she does later on.
Well, no, like, I think you're right, Nick, because I think that the cauldron thing is a big thing. I feel like it's the chapter I had the most issue with is chapter 6. Like that is the chapter where I was like, wait.
I was gonna say I'm exclusively talking about chapter 6.
Yeah, in general,
so like the cauldron thing does not factor into that at all.
Oh well, okay then. That's different. That's different then.
I think if the arc ended at 5, then we had the Bonesaw interlude. Because what's great about the Bonesaw interlude is that it would be a really good cap to the arc and basically be like, hey, okay, so now we have our Bonesaw interlude. And in her interlude, she has her time skip as well, where she's now all of a sudden all this time forward and she's trying to pretend to be, whatever. And then you go into the next arc, starting off with, Taylor's acceptance speech, where she says, okay, 2 years have passed. And has her little moment. And that way we basically recap the same way chapter 6 is trying to do. We just do it better. And then we start off the next arc with that idea of okay, we've just started a whole new era of Brockton Bay and the world.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about another 2-year time skip that we've probably all seen, which is between Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Oh,
that's
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
5 years. You have a 5-year time skip between that. Which, they just, move on. I don't feel like this should have spent so much time developing it. Like Hannah said, I think if you wanted to show any progression of time in in narrative, Bonesaw is a great position for that. And then the next chapter just opens with Taylor in the Protectorate.
Okay.
Soup.
See that makes more sense to me. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the whole arc. If we're just talking about chapter 6, then
I like a lot about the beginning of this arc. I really like her on her stakeout when they're doing. I like that. I like the whole cauldron conversation. I think that's really good. I like her initiation into the wards, them being silly and seeing how she and Gollum built this little kind of camaraderie, the little TV show moment. I thought that was a decent chapter. It's really just the last one that kills me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, I think, and Hannah, I think you said it well earlier when talking about how it's a really big break from the writing style as well. We have spent 24 arcs over a 3 to 4 month period. It's a much, much slower paced story. So then when you skip that much time, it's just a bit of a shock. It's like a little bit of whiplash as you're trying to speed up to catch everything. Because honestly, I knew they were kind of happening subconsciously, but I kind of read past the first couple of time skips and just didn't even think about them. Yeah, and just being like, oh, this is odd. That this feels like this should be later in time. Isn't this the next day? It's no, this is, or 2 months later. Yeah. Well, you want to just get into it? Go chapter by chapter?
Let's do it. We can take a break shitting on the last chapter and just talk about the ones we liked.
We'll be back.
Yep.
We'll come back to it at the end. Okie doke. All right, let's have a look. So, chapter 1, we start out kind of picking up where we left off in the last arc. Director West is trying to railroad Taylor. And she decides that she's going to broadcast the meeting using her bugs so that everyone in the building can hear. A couple of the capes come to her aid to defend her, and Director West has to back down. Taylor becomes an official Chicago ward, and her dad stands up with her, at the hearing. The Chicago wards hold their own little initiation with one of the weirdest portions of Worm I've ever read, but was very fun and cute. Congratulations. Welcome to the wards, Taylor Hebert.
Yeah.
It was a
really, really fun chapter.
Yeah. It was cute. It was an incredibly appropriately but juvenile initiation test, which was hilarious.
Very funny.
Once again, reading this for the first time because my brain just slides off this like water off a duck's back. I read this and was like very confused why everybody was trying not to giggle at the end. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like you go back and read it twice. Oh, it's got
It's
a dildo in his pants or something.
It's penis, Alan.
I know. It's just I can't. I just don't get penis on the brain.
Penis on the brain.
Get with the program.
Yeah, it's a funny chapter. That whole little bit. It does kind of take you aback. You're like, wait a second, is she looking at? So there's this really tall cape.
Yeah, she's Campanile. He's 8 foot tall.
Is it
her eye level.
I said Campanile in my mind.
Oh, okay. That was how the audio book narrator read it. So that's how I was.
Campanile.
Campanile.
Campanile and his silly Willy.
No, she's eye level at his hip though. So like it's right there.
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It's funny. His name. I'm
gonna look it up. I don't actually even know how to spell it. It
means a freestanding bell tower, which is perfect for his penis.
Oh my god!
Wild Bo did it again.
It's so funny. I wrote it down because I was dying laughing. Taylor says, "I thought I saw a ridge or a vein." And I was losing my mind. And then she said near the end, because she's trying so hard. It's the pink elephant. You're trying really hard not to think about the pink elephant. She's like trying really hard not to look and like think about smiling, make eye contact. And she said, that thing is as long as my forearm.
I mean,
it really is a pink elephant.
It is a pink elephant.
Exact word choice I would have gone with.
Oh my God.
Anyways, it's so funny though. Like, because I mean, he is 8 feet tall. Like, I would assume proportionately. Like, why not? Like,
why not?
Yeah, I mean,
it's so funny.
I mean, clearly he's a shower and not a grower.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I mean,
but maybe though. We don't know
now.
He
could also be a grower.
He could be a grower.
I was gonna say that could be flaccid.
Oh my God.
You haven't even seen his final form.
That one what's that one side character in The Boys? The guy with
it's the love sausage.
Yeah.
Love sausage. Yeah.
That's all I'm imagining now.
Yeah, no, it's I go back to in the comic book where they're running through and he's like, oh no, basically my kryptonite. And they're like, what is it? And they're like crashing through walls and he like passes out. And it's because they went into a strip club and he, got an erection and passed out because he loses so much blood when that happens. So he's Superman, but he can't ever be aroused.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious. But yeah. I mean, we're kind of skipping to the end of that chapter, but it's definitely the most unique part of it. So I think it's valid.
Right.
Just because it's so weird. It's so unexpected. I don't know. It's
a fun little initiation into the wards. Like it's juvenile and it's funny and I don't know. It feels like so Regent was like the funny guy, the jokester, the trickster of the Undersiders, and to then like maybe know that her new group can also like maybe has some stupid humor that also is like silly and fun, and it's like maybe I can still have like that here too, even if it's not with the Undersiders. Like,
yeah. I think the two things I love about Taylor in this scene is her going, I'm gonna need to make some front armor for this guy because Lord have mercy.
Bust.
She's immediately thinking tactical. It's like, bless you, Taylor.
I do really like the beginning of this chapter, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Her broadcasting the meeting was like is such a great moment in getting because who comes into the room? It's like it's Tecton. Is it
not Idol? Is it not Idol?
No,
he's
I think it's Revel.
No.
I think Revel comes in.
Revel. Yeah.
Revel. Yeah. Because Revel is she's like kind of the lead in Chicago, right?
Revel's also like second in command under Chevalier, I'm pretty sure.
Right after the
Chicago.
triumvirate.
Yeah. Chicago Protectorate team is what she is. Also, God, her freaking costume is amazing, and I don't think I realized what she looked like until I just looked her up really quick. She's got she's got like her lantern and her robe, and it's very cool.
But yeah, that scene is it's really well done. I like that it's a moment where she gets to sort of redeem her credibility in the eyes of a lot of the heroes, even though she's been doing that slowly already. This was just sort of a big moment for that, which I liked.
Yeah, she talks about how one of the big things is that they're wanting to build this, this new system that doesn't have all of this political, underhandedness. And she's like, you know what? Fuck it. No, if he wants to try and sideline me, if he wants to try and, play a game, like we're not playing games today. And, broadcasting that all over is such a power move. And it puts her in a very dangerous position. Again, no surprise, since Taylor tends to do that for herself all the time. But like, it puts her in this position where she's, blatantly saying no. And fortunately, it works for her. But like, that could have gone sideways pretty quickly. Of like, because he's like, this is a confidential meeting. She's like, I never agreed to that. Like, if they had said something at the beginning, and then she would have been, breaking rules or whatever, but like, yeah, it could have gone sideways and it worked out, but
yeah.
I also really like what Taylor says when she's with her dad. So when they're in the courtroom and, afterwards they're sitting on the bench and it's like, well, you're officially aboard now. And he's like, can't we like fix things? And she's like, I don't like the word fix because we can't go back. Like we have to find a new basis for our relationships. Like we have to find a new normal rather than like playing the roles of this family that we were pretending everything was fine. And we were like, there were clearly things unsaid and secrets on both sides, and like not secrets on both sides, but like secrets that were clearly not being spoken. And like, we can't go back to that. And so we just have to find new footing for where we are in our relationship. And I like that. I thought that was really good because it feels like for most of this, her dad has been trying to like fix things. Like even early on, like with her, when she first got her powers, like just trying to like be on a different, like be on the same level that they used to have together. It's like, well, it's just not the same anymore. Like nothing is the same. Like even before Leviathan came to Brockton Bay, like things weren't stable. It's like we can't go back. Like too much has happened for us to be able to do that. And I think that's good. I think that's healthy to like build on the new ground that you have rather than trying to like go back to what it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for sure. I think there's kind of a life lesson in that for everybody, right? Kind of that sense of like people change and that's just the way life is. And you might, you can mourn the past, you can grieve the past, but that doesn't mean that you can't build something new in the future that, who knows, could be even better than what you had before.
Right.
I think it's mentioned somewhere earlier in here, way earlier in Worm, but it makes me think about how trees heal, where trees don't repair, they grow around to form a new shape when it comes to wounds. And there's a line somewhere in Worm where they talk about like essentially like there's no like we're formed by all the ways that we form around the trauma and stuff like that. There's no repairing that. There's no going back in time and fixing that so that it's smoothed out. All you can do is grow around the shape. And so even though you're healing and even though you're doing well, that negative space is still there, but you can healthily grow around it, but that does determine the shape of who you are still.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Tree man.
Cool. Any other thoughts on chapter 1?
We finally see Weld's daddy.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what?
Armstrong's there.
Wait, what?
Weld's daddy.
Oh, Armstrong?
Oh,
Armstrong.
Is that... Wait. Who?
Armstrong's in the meeting. He's in the meeting, but what do you mean by Weld's daddy?
It's like his adopted father.
Oh, is it really?
Is it really?
I totally missed that.
They mentioned
That's funny.
I mean, they mention it all the way back when Weld like flies in, to Brockton Bay.
Oh, he's just a civilian. Yeah, he's just a dude. Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
I thought Armstrong was a PRT director.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Well,
kind of.
it just says he's an administrator.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am looking at the Worm Wiki, so like, there's very realistically stuff missing, but
yeah, I thought he was director Armstrong.
it says Armstrong is close to Weld, seems to have all but adopted him. But,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I totally missed that connection.
Cool. Well, we
talk
love
about
Weld.
it in Dissecting Worm a really long time ago when Weld first got introduced.
I'm sure we did.
Really?
Yeah, if you go to the
And
literally,
Alan,
if you
Alan
go,
was very excited about it, and there's a whole thing about it.
If you go to the Worm fandom, the Worm Wiki, under Weld, it literally has a section called Director Armstrong.
Oh.
That's funny.
Camille Armstrong. I didn't even know his first name.
Yeah.
Camille, maybe? That's not that one.
Camille. Ooh, he might be is he a police chief? I am reading the background on him.
Yes, we're learning so much today.
I'm sure
anyway, yeah.
I'm sure that us reading the wiki is what all of our fans want. So
yeah, no. If y'all want to look it up, you should look it up. There's a ton of information. Go read.
It is funny how he's the person who's like, no. She's great for the wards because she's like a cult leader, guys.
I know, that was so funny. Yeah. I love that.
She's like,
she's
appreciate the help.
Thank you.
But no, please.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong though. But like, people follow her because her resolve is so strong, and she's so like, she has a plan. So like, even if you don't necessarily agree with the choices she's making, like, no one else has a better option. So you kind of go with whatever Taylor has. Whatever Taylor's suggesting, because it's like, well, okay, what do we do against a kidnap? Well, Taylor says we should go to this. Like, well, anyone else have any other options? Like, no. Like, all right, there we go. Like, I love it. Like, and I think maybe a cult leader's a bit much, but I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. I do want to say, this is where Alan and I probably agree with you the most, in that the whole idea of like the PRT being like, now you were a bit harsh there with some of your fellow heroes while you were fighting literally an apocalyptic creature. Like, this is where like sometimes I think we've kind of disagreed, all of us in the past, on like, are people too hard on Taylor? Are they too, whatever. This is one I think we can all agree of like, all right, mister, listen, this was not a normal scenario. Like, please, like, come on. Like, I do. The one thing I do agree with him though is like, and I think this comes up more later, but he's like, I've just learned to accept the fact that you don't follow the rules. Like, we keep asking you, just like, they'd be like, Taylor, literally, all you have to do today is just not text the F word to Eidolon. And she would do it.
But she'll have a good reason for it. She'll be like,
she'll think she will, but that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
I have to if I don't, the Endbringers win. Is that what you want?
Yeah. You want the Endbringers
taking away our F words.
I'm just imagining
censoring us.
I'm saying that, and then it cuts over to Eidolon, and his phone buzzes. It just says, "You fuck." Just like text from Taylor.
Exactly.
She's got a cockroach like on the phone in her pocket, texting it out.
Yeah. It's like I can't. I already sent it. I'm
it's
sorry.
too late. I already sent it. I already hit
As soon as
send.
you said don't do that, I was already texting it.
I had me and all of the heroes I know text bomb Eidolon the fuck word.
Yes.
And they all listen to me because I'm a cult leader.
That's right. I'd like to. His phone blows up, but it starts with her, like just you got a message from so and so, except he's named her like bug fuck, like or
bug bitch.
Yeah.
That
I think it's more simple than that. It's just that bug bitch is just the perfect one.
I got a worm.
Oh, that's a great line. That's a banger right there.
God damn it.
I had to look at the sound waves for Alan's
I'm so
recording
ready
to
with
see if that
those.
was him or if that was the
my whole
soundboard.
job.
I never said the other thing I liked about chapter 1 with Taylor is just that she just has no reaction. And I don't remember who says it, but one of them's like, guys, she's not reacting. And now I feel weird.
Oh, this with the cod piece. Yeah.
Yeah, with the cod piece.
Yeah.
Cuff.
It's
Was it cuff? Yeah.
Because he's because she doesn't react. She just stares. He's like making eye contact.
And then Taylor doesn't. I don't think she makes him feel better because she's like, no, guys, that was really funny. That was great. Really.
That was no, really.
Made me feel so welcome.
It's so good. It's so
I'm
good.
such a lucky girl. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have joined.
I'm so glad I gave up millions of dollars for this.
I gave up all of my money to be here today.
And my friends.
Honestly, if she was at like the beginning of her career, Aubrey Plaza in like her April
oh my gosh,
persona, perfect Taylor. It's just deadpan. Yeah.
You got me.
Great.
Good job. But yeah, it's just her whole attitude is very funny with the words. And I do appreciate Good Boy Tecton being like, all right, guys, make sure we get rid of the dildos. Don't want anybody finding these anywhere.
Don't want to just lying around.
Yeah, we're finding those everywhere for the next month. That's the real reason the time skip happens, because it's just a year and a half of finding dildos in your dresser drawer. That's what's going on.
But like, that's why I'm so upset there was a time skip, because like I love all the little moments of the like little camaraderie that you would have because you're all living together, like in a way that she didn't even do with the Undersiders, like because they're all super close quarters and okay, now I'm mad again. Now I feel cheated again. I was feeling good.
Save it for the chapter. Hold on to that rage.
Oh, it's burning.
All right, chapter 2.
Chapter Dose. Okay, so chapter Dose, 6 weeks have passed, apparently.
Wow.
Taylor's training with Theo, running in the morning, and then also just doing some practice stuff, which is very fun. We have the Simurg attacks an airplane with kind of an uncertain reason as to why. And Taylor is feeling pretty upset and just down and has another lovely little session with Miss Yamada. God bless her. What a peach.
Oh, Theo.
He's
trying to run.
He's trying so hard. I feel Theo's pain. I hate running. Running is not in my repertoire.
I don't think this boy's running his life.
Yeah. I love the backhanded like compliment that Taylor gives, where she's like, "You made it 2 whole blocks."
Yeah. The thing though is that like that would also be me. 2 blocks.
Yeah,
Hannah's like, oh, I think I'm gonna throw up. Like, oh, I can't. I don't know if I can do this. She's so nice. She's like, it's cool. We'll walk another block and then we'll run a block and then we'll walk the rest of the way home. I'm like, more running? Like, no.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
It is literally the oh my gosh, what do I do?
Well, she says, throw up if you have to, and then keep going. I'm like, why?
You chunder and rally. You'll feel better.
No! Just walk home. It's fine. Theo. I did enjoy reading about their training session, though. I thought that was really cool. I love the fan idea of like all the different materials so that Theo can use his like hand power thing and go through it's like a chip of, like, you know, when you go to the paint store or you go to the hair salon store and they've got like all the chips of colors or whatever and like displayed out in a fan.
Yes, swatches.
Yeah, like the swatches. Like that's basically what he's got on his belt, but of materials. I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. It's very smart.
Okay, just for the record, the attack on the flight by the Simurgh was at the end of November, which is 4 months after the behemoth attack. So 4 months have passed.
What? Okay, there's a line in the very beginning where she's talking about she said over the past 6 weeks, something. So
yeah,
like,
that's what I remember too.
I got that wrong. Sorry about that.
No, I think, that's what I thought too. I thought it was shorter than that.
Gosh, I just don't. Fuck. I hate.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we mean.
I hate this.
Confusing.
Like, I need, like, if you're going to have time skips, like, Wildbow, listen, love you, man. But if we're going to have time skips, you need to be clear about how much time is passing because people are confused as fuck. Don't be all sneaky and hide it in the middle of the text by being like, oh, yes, they'll remember what month it is, bitch. No, I can barely remember what month it is now.
Once again, I don't think like this actually matters that much. It's just jarring given that we have moved hour by hour in every other chapter.
Yeah.
Right.
For 2 months and then, and then start to get time skippy after that. So like,
give us a frame of reference,
I think, I meant to say this. This is what I was trying to articulate earlier. I think part of what maybe Wildbow is trying to thread is that he knows, we have to remember this was released week by week, right? So
yeah,
he knows that people want to see Jack Slash come back. Like that's the big looming thing now, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, he can't just, he could have just jumped there, but I bet he had a lot of cool ideas of like, here's some stuff I want Taylor to do with the wards. How can I do that in a fun way? But I don't know. It is tricky. It is tricky, that's for sure.
I will say some of it, sometimes I do feel a bit like when I'm watching the Olympics with a fresh coat of Cheeto dust on my fingers, making fun of the gymnast that trips like during a triple backflip,
right.
Being like, what a loser. I do feel that sometimes here where I'm like, Wildbow, you so dumb. This is stupid. Meanwhile, I'm like 1.5 million words into his amazing epic, So like, who am I?
I know. He's also releasing on like a crazy schedule.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Unedited. Just 2 chapters a week. Brutal schedule.
So Wildbow, with the caveat that we love you so much and are constantly impressed by your work. Hence why we are doing this whole entire podcast, because we fucking love you.
We critique because we love.
We critique. Yes. Put that on a t-shirt.
That doesn't need to be on a t-shirt everywhere. Ugh. Literary criticism is dying.
Go off, Jacob. Go off.
No,
you're not wrong.
Save that for my own TikToks.
No. See, we need them on the podcast too.
Chapter 3. Unless people
I was going to say, did we have more comments about chapter 2? I have a couple more, but
go for it. I honestly couldn't remember a lot of this chapter, so I was just skipping through it.
Well, there's not a lot that goes on, but I think like the thing that I liked. So with the conversation with Miss Yamada, because we have the Simurgh attacks the airplane and the airplane goes down, but there aren't any casualties with the capes, and so there's kind of this feeling like, well, what was the point of that? Like, what was the purpose of this? And the Endbringers have consistently especially recently, we've determined that they have targets in mind. There are reasons why they're attacking. They're not just indiscriminately attacking wherever. And so with this attack, it feels like, why the heck? What is the purpose of this? And so Taylor goes, she talks to Miss Yamada. And I think Miss Yamada has really good insight, which again is freaking why I love therapists. Just really good at seeing the bigger picture of things. But like she says, like, do you think that maybe the Simurgh is aware that the morale here is important? That the morale of the Capes right now, right here, right now, coming off of this big behemoth fight, that we are like, that morale needs a boost, and that by attacking indiscriminately in the way that she did, it feels like a bigger gut punch, and it pushes Capes all over the place, not just Taylor, to feel like, that kind of like, oh gosh, what's the word? But basically like, pointlessness of things, of just like, not hopelessness, but like pointlessness. Like we don't understand the purpose. It feels purposeless. There's a word I'm looking for, but it doesn't matter. You guys get what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
But that that maybe the Simurgh doesn't need a physical reason, but the reason for her attack is purely like because of morale and emotionally, like having that emotional effect more than the physical effect. And that the Simurgh is more aware of the like emotional state of parahumans as a whole than we've given her credit for. And Taylor's like, I don't know, like I'm not sure. But I think that that's interesting, that like that maybe I've put the Endbringers too quickly into a box of big bads who break things, and then it's like they've clearly proven themselves to be way more complicated than that, and that is terrifying. And it puts this very like ominous shroud over the whole thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor kind of mentions that back when they're fighting Behemoth, she didn't expect him to be such a tactician. And people suspect the Simurgh is a clairvoyant or a mentalist of some kind, obviously.
Kind of, yeah.
Precog, yeah. So her kind of knowing this is more about morale than anything else, would make sense.
Spooky.
We do love Miss Yamada, though, always and forever, as the best character.
What a peach.
I do love that Taylor is getting her hug quota in with.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. That makes me so happy. That she's like, oh yeah, I mentioned once in my sessions that I don't get hugged enough. So Miss Yamada's like hugs me at the end of all of our sessions. I'm like, oh, my heart. I'm not going to lie. I did actually text my therapist after reading that arc and was like, hey, we should meet up. When are you free?
Hey there. How you doing?
I just love my therapist.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's great. I do love this. So now it seems like Theo has kind of told everybody his deal with Jack, right? So, because Taylor's like, it's okay, you're doing well, and Theo's like, I don't know if I'm doing good enough though. Like he's like, they're very cognizant that Jack is coming back, and Theo is working really hard to try to be who he needs to beat Jack, and it's beautiful and sad.
It is beautiful and sad. I'm so proud of Theo. Like he's come so far from being that little kid who was babysitting his sister to now like being in the Chicago wards and like training so hard and like prepping for this. Like, I'm so proud of him. Like I feel this all the time reading these arcs with other people, but like I'm so proud of seeing how these capes, how far they come. It brings a tear to my eye. Like I just love it.
It's a beautiful thing.
Shall we chapter 3?
Yeah. Chapter 3.
We're just like flying through this now. We just had to get all of our anger out at the very beginning. And
listen, what I say at the beginning, half the episode is on the first chapter.
Or in this case, the last chapter.
In this case, the last chapter, yeah.
Okay, so chapter 3, I wrote, now I guess it's been 6 months because I don't know. Anyways, who knows what time it is. Taylor has a plan and is in the midst of a stakeout. The wards corner and fight Topsy with his henchmen Watch and Moksha. The director and Taylor share some words, and Weaver hits the ground running. I actually really liked. I really enjoyed this chapter. This was actually very fun. I love a well-oiled machined heist thing.
Yeah. So we get some interesting villains, right? Topsy, Watch, and Moksha.
Yes.
Are all very fascinating villains to me. Just with their powers, not necessarily in what they do, because we don't know much about what they do, right? But their powers are really interesting. Topsy having this gravity control. Watch having this like kind of mixture of abilities that make him really versatile is super cool.
Yeah.
And then Moksha, who I guess like makes bitches dogs but out of machines.
Yeah, mechanic,
which is hilarious.
Very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very fun.
I love that we get the winter camo.
Yes.
So, a new seasonal outfit.
Yes.
Right.
So excited. A winter episode.
Gear.
Love it.
Also, we see her pull out her little lunchbox that she got paid her first villain payout in.
She got an Alexandria lunchbox.
I know. And then she killed her.
I know.
The irony.
And she keeps
so
it.
And she keeps it too. And I
so
love
that
how
she
she's
can
like,
remember
that
time she murdered that bitch.
And she's like, I thought it would be funny, which I'm like, Taylor, oh my God. She's like, I thought it'd be funny.
Taylor, never doubt yourself. You're fucking hilarious. We've said it before.
She's like, I never, well, she says, I didn't realize how sick I'd get staring at it. On this,
I don't know if you guys talk to inanimate objects as much as I do, but I love the idea of Taylor, like with her lunchbox, she's like putting food in it and she's like talking to it. It's just like really dark, like, no, Taylor, not more bugs. No. And she like shoves a sandwich inside.
Come on, Alexandria. That's not the first time you've been full of bugs. Let's be honest.
That's so funny.
I love it. I love it so much. Also, Nick, just so you know, I too talk to inanimate objects. I talk to things all the time.
And if you too talk to inanimate objects all the time, you can get help with our sponsor, BetterHelp.
No.
Unaffiliated.
Yeah.
We'll
take their money.
I don't think you understand how cheap I am.
Miss Yamada would not approve. She would not approve
when you say it like that.
When you say it like that, but Miss Yamada doesn't have to know.
What?
And they can pay me, and they can put all of it in cash in a little Alexandria lunchbox and ship it right to my doorstep.
Oh my God. Oh, wouldn't that be so fun?
What Miss Yamada doesn't know can't be brought up in my sessions.
That's
right. We'll only talk about what I want to talk about anyway. So,
Right. That's how
therapy
works.
We're not going to unpack the fact that I'm sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp. Getting you better.
No. Wouldn't that be fun though? We did, because we've been talking about doing merch and stuff. It would be so fun to do an Alexandria lunchbox.
Oh, genius.
But it could be like a Taylor's Alexandria lunchbox. So it's like clearly an Alexandria lunchbox, but it's got details on it. Like maybe she's got her name scribbled on the side, like written in duct tape on the side. So it's like clearly like, hey, this is Taylor Hebert's lunchbox.
Imagining
maybe like a little bug crawling out of one of the
I'm imagining a white sweater with the lunchbox open, so that on one side you can see the Alexandria part, but it's open, a wad of cash like falling out of it, and like a single cockroach running around.
I love it.
With like a little, and it's on the white thing, like it's like the white background, like it's sitting there, so you get maybe a little bit of shadow work there.
Yeah,
and then that's it. Very
cute.
Simplistic. If you know, you know.
I was thinking just make a lunchbox, but put it on a shirt too. Yeah.
Put a lunchbox on a shirt.
Be harder.
Like a picture of a lunchbox on a shirt. I think that's what Alan's saying.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I got you.
I was saying just make the lunchbox.
Just make a lunchbox.
Yeah. I also love how Taylor wins in this conflict. That this is not a matter of direct confrontation. This is a matter of just making them miserable. Kind of how we saw with a little bit of how we saw in Brockton Bay going up against Butcher's crew, the Teeth.
Yeah.
Like they really screwed them over there. And
I mean,
we saw that a little bit.
Yeah. Very uncomfy.
Yeah. And then the same with this, where they like took everybody's phones first. And
that was clever. And then, I really liked that part.
And then made them go outside in the cold and then got them kicked out of the other restaurant. Like,
that was fun.
Call your boss. What do you mean? Call higher up. You will find somebody who will kick them out.
Thank you for, what does he say afterwards? He's like, thank you for walking me through this tough situation. It's like, and then hangs up. I'm like, okay.
Like, yeah, please leave a review because not enough people think like you do, good sir.
Yeah. I did have a question about Watch's power. So they mention that one of Watch's things is that he can like punch a hole through people's bodies by like reaching into them.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter style.
Kind of. It sounded more like he has like ghostly flickery kind of hands, and he like can swipe pieces of you almost.
Yeah, because she said it was very much like Shadowstalker, the way that Shadowstalker can like move through things. But one of the things that we talked about with Shadowstalker is like she couldn't do people because of like the Manton effect. So like, how can Watch do that?
Well, you see, he's just Shadowstalker, but better.
But yeah. I don't think I ever fully grasp exactly how the Manton effect is /works /whatever. So like when it mentioned that, I was like, I feel like part of the Manton effect is that like dealing with human matter, it gets a little funkadelic.
Well, I think it's not so much that he has like super improved vision. And then I think because of that, he's really quick and has improved accuracy. So I think it's less that he's bypassing it like Shadowstalker would if she just like phased through something. And more that he's just like, he can see your veins inside of your body whenever he wants.
Yeah.
And he is just fast enough. He just like claws them out or grabs them, right? That's the vibe I'm getting. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it was less like phasing through the body, maybe. It's just,
that makes more sense. Yeah. I wasn't sure about that because I was like, that sounds like it's the way that she described it. I was like, I don't know if that sounds right or not.
What are we talking about?
Watch. Watch is the one that works with Topsy. That's like, he's got a bunch of different things that he can do.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's got some cool powers. He is
pretty cool. I really liked his like watch, his like looking at things thing, his watch thing,
his watching of things.
But like,
oh my God.
But you can like see
his name's Watch, but he's got great hearing.
Well,
careful, he can smell you.
He sees right where they are. Like Taylor is hiding with what's her face, and they're like just hanging out around the corner, and he does the thing that Taylor does, where he looks in a direction, and everyone's like, "What do you see, boy?" And he's like, "That way," which is like what Taylor does. She does it early in the episode where she's looking upwards because with her bugs she can see 3 stories up and to the left, but from where she's actually standing she can't see. But her body still like looks and follows and like her hand, like her eyes look up at the ceiling. It's like, well, she's looking at something that's not there. It's like, no, she's looking at what her bugs are doing and what her bugs are seeing 3 stories up.
The wiki just says for Watch that his phantom hands can reach into people's bodies to do internal damage.
Yeah, that was the thing I was curious about with the Manton effect.
I don't say how.
You can just bypass it.
Yeah, there are just some people who do that. It's not like some
people are just built different.
Yeah, literally.
Watch is just built different, I guess. Yeah.
Got that dog in him. That watchdog.
that watch.
Oh.
Got
Thanks,
him.
Jacob. You laughed at least one. I got one.
I barked.
Oh, thank you.
Is that what that was?
I was like, I did it's the ho. Like it's the.
Oh,
it's the
I think
it's
it
that
kind of.
Oh, you
bulldog.
might have clipped. I think you clipped because I didn't
Did I
hear the
clip
first
out?
time.
Then you know what? Just cue DMX.
Yeah.
Alexa, play DMX.
Oh no.
No.
Alexa, stop playing DMX.
Look, you asked for it, okay? And she complied because she's
I
a
don't know what
good
you
little
expected.
robot. She's a good little
I was
robot.
expecting it wouldn't hear me.
I thought it was a joke.
Quietly.
You
I was
guys
gonna say,
ever whispered?
Oh,
to
you know what? I
Alexa?
forgot. Dragon, play DMX.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's there. There we go.
I'm gonna now change all of the Echo Dots in our house to respond to Dragon.
Oh. Dragon, play Despacito.
What were you saying, Jacob? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, have you ever whispered to your Alexa?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She
Every
whispers
morning
back.
when I leave the house, that's how I check the weather.
I do it also in the morning, but I do it in an empty house. I just don't want her to talk loud at me. I've just woken up and I'm like,
Alexa, give me my morning kiss, darling.
Oh no, it's great. So
Morning
if you
kiss
ask,
activated.
if you ask Alexa to fart, she'll play these fart sounds. But if you whisper to it to fart, it's like it's really, really erotic. It's just,
What?
okay, hold on. I have one. I have one less than a foot away from me. I feel like I should do it. I feel like I have to do it now. Okay, hold on. Hold on. We have to. Hold on. I just move her a little bit closer.
This is the content right here.
And I just have to ask her to fart. Is that all?
yeah.
Whisper though.
Whisper.
Alexa, can you fart for me?
What was that? Hannah,
Random.
We can't.
can you confirm?
Random.
Was it erotic?
Alexa, stop.
Wait,
Okay, I don't know if you guys
what?
Did you hear that? But what? Is she? Wait, is she still? Alexa, stop. Stop. Stop.
Please,
Alexa, please.
She's not stopping. Alexa.
No.
Alexa, stop.
it's begun. We knew this day was going to happen, boys.
She's not listening. Alexa, stop.
The electric boog is happening.
Suit up.
Oh, my.
Oh, that's
I'll
funny.
go grab the baseball
She's
bat.
still going. I'm gonna unplug her if she doesn't shut
Describe
the
it.
fuck up.
Describe it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what happens
Would
is
you describe it as erotic?
so she does the fart sound and then immediately follows the fart sound with a descriptor of the fart sound. So she's like, it's like okay, I gotta crank up my mic a little bit. It's like that was a wet, loose one. You're like, no, and then it's like that was like that was a dry I don't know,
dry rub.
oh no, one of the ones she said a squelching one. I'm like, no, stop,
Jesus.
stop immediately.
We should have.
It's not the
Technology
fart.
was a mistake.
And she was like, do you want me to play 36 in a row or do you want me to randomize them? And I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh, my God.
Quality content.
That's for the
Amazing.
patrons right there. That's for
We'll
the
be
patrons.
doing an Alexa fart tier list on Patreon.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We'll be
please.
ranking these.
No.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'll
that
turn my
was
mic back
definitely
down.
S
Gosh.
tier.
Oh,
That was
funny.
an S class threat if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
wow, Jacob, what have you done to us?
I know. I regretted it the second I said it. You can hear the hesitation.
I'm sorry.
No. I'm glad it happened.
I was gonna say, Jacob, you can always just tell me to not.
No, once it's begun.
Oh, okay.
I can't stop it.
Farting begins.
Yeah.
There's no going back.
Yeah.
So back to chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
I think we were done with chapter 3.
Well, I still have a couple. Oh, I'll just spit out my notes real quick then, because I just had a couple of things. I said, God damn it, Taylor, stop being so fucking difficult. Why are you making this harder? The people supporting you are going to end up getting burned by your lack of communication. I feel like this is a theme, perhaps. But like
Perhaps.
when she's with, I think, is she with Cuff? Who's she with? That she gives the flight pack to?
Yeah, she's with Cuff, who she runs into a wall.
She runs Cuff into the freaking wall, and Cuff's getting shot at, and like, of course Taylor's like, "Oh, you're fine. Like, you weren't gonna get hurt with the spider silk and the whatever."
Them,
it's like, but the thing is that she's having to communicate all of this, like back to headquarters, and Grace is on the fucking earpiece. And she's just like lying through her teeth, like, oh, yeah, no, it's okay. We're just keeping our distance. And they're like, uh-huh. Meanwhile, Cuff is getting shot at. Like, I don't know. It just, and I understand why she did it, but I still didn't like it. And it's like, if you're trying to build a team that trusts you, this feels like not the right thing to do to put your teammates in the line of fire here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bad moves, Taylor.
Yep.
Oh, what did she say? I have a note here that I don't know if I know the context to. It says, so this is a quote, left them without any hope that they could win the next time. Oh, she's talking about, the end. Okay. I know. Okay. So at the end, the whole thing is like, I'm trying to beat them down. We're not just trying to win against Topsy and Clock, but or Watch, not Clock. We're trying to like break them down spirit by spirit. She says, leave them without any hope that they could win for next time. And I thought that sounded a little bit like Imp, like how Imp was very much would use like the psychological stuff to drive people out of her territory and like really break down a person's soul a little bit, like really break them down mentally, not just beat them physically, but mentally as well. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of, she's trying to make a point, right, with the PRT. So
yeah,
obviously there's that aspect too. But yeah, I don't know. It makes sense. And although like her line, of course, is uncomfortable. It's like, I totally get why, right? It's like, okay, you just gotta do this and, screw the director. Basically, you gotta do what you gotta do, Taylor. So I don't know. It is definitely it's a fun chapter, though. I really do like the fight. I like the tactic of we're not trying to kill. We're just trying to deal with them. I think that's kind of cool. I do like that aspect of it.
Okie doke.
Yeah. On to 4.
We're cruising. We are cruising. Okay. Quattro. This is a fun one. The wards appear on TV. Spotlight keeps falling on Weaver, but then a new challenger appears. Kansu strikes Japan, and it feels like all hope is lost. This is the chapter where I sobbed uncontrollably, and Alan came home from work in the middle of me crying my eyes out, and was like, oh, I wanted to see if you had seen that funny video that Nick had posted in the chat. And I was like, I like look at him and I've got tears streaming down my cheeks. And he's like, I'll come back later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you cry?
You're saying number 4 is the one that made you cry that much?
Yeah, number 4. I said, I just cry. I cried and cried and cried. Like I wouldn't quite say wept, but that is kind of how it felt. Anytime we have like big Endbringer moments where capes are just dying by the swaths, I always get incredibly emotional because for me, this idea that like regardless of what side you're on, this is like Endbringers are bigger than all of us, and so like we can't just sit by and do nothing. And this idea that these capes are flying in, they're trying to do their best, and they're just dying. Like just like the way that that Taylor's bugs die when they hit, a cape that kills them on touch, like that idea that like these capes just are dying left and right. And it feels like there's no hope. And so I was like, because I just have a whole bunch of notes as I was listening to this, I was like typing up and just kind of stream of consciousness as things were coming in. So it's like the abject horror of Khonsu that's like, oh my gosh, now we have a whole new Endbringer that we're doing. Like we just had a win. And it's like we can't seem to win here.
Yeah.
Like
catch a break.
Like give us a second. And like I instantly like started tearing up as soon as Khonsu appeared, and I had goosebumps and just like and then the time bubble. Do you guys remember in the Behemoth fight when we had those little time bubbles? And I think I said on the podcast that I immediately started crying because I felt like we were about to lose somebody, but I couldn't remember who it was. And I was like, it was like really frustrating. And I was like, it felt like part of my brain was remembering something that I didn't. But then clearly the Behemoth fight happened and we lost Regent, but like we didn't lose anybody in a time bubble. And so I kind of had this feeling like did I miss something? Like what? I don't know. And then reading this part describing Khonsu and the bubbles, that's when I started like really bawling because I realized like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a fight with Khonsu. Like that's going to be the one that my brain remembers that I clearly don't. That I'm just like, it was like it was, right. And yeah, it's just, it feels like, and then he teleports on top of that. Like I can feel the desperation and the pain of this ending of like, Taylor walks out into the hallway and there are people just like sitting in the hallway of this TV studio, just crying because like we cannot seem to win. And I think it's I will say of this entire arc, I think this episode was the best. This chapter was the best written because it pairs so well the first half of them being on TV.
Yeah.
Them being on TV. And it feels like the most trivial, stupid, non-important thing. And Taylor the entire time is like struggling to feel like, why does this matter? Like, why are we here? This is so trivial. This is so stupid. And it's paired so well with such something so important. So something so trivial as a TV show paired with something so devastating, which is Khonsu showing up. And I wrote in my notes, well done, Wild Boat. Because like pairing those two together, it almost hits harder.
Yeah.
That it happens in the middle of something so stupid as like a little talk show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I love the whole framing of the opening of this. I mean, just with the like on the phone, like, Glenn, I need help. It's an emergency.
I love that she called
in
Glenn.
the background columns, just like, fuck. We're all going to die. You're like, oh God, they're about to go to an Endbringer fight. They're like, worse. We're on daytime television. Which honestly, same. Like,
yeah.
I love it. This is a line that I think about every now and then, but I forgot that it was from Worm. And then when I remembered it was from Worm, I forgot that it wasn't Pigott that said it, because for some reason I associate it with Pigott, which is, they didn't just give me enough rope to hang myself. They put me in the rope factory.
That was a good line. I did like that line.
Yeah. And this brings up a broader point that I think is very important, very serious, which is that I cannot for the life of me understand talk shows. I don't know that they are the
pretty serious
lowest form of art.
Oh, they're not the lowest form of art, Alan.
I don't know. I've seen some things
I've seen
from the
Love
internet.
Have you seen Desperate Housewives?
Love Island and Desperate Housewives
it's like the lowest.
are and here's why.
No offense to people who enjoy the show, because sometimes you need a little bit of escape. Totally get it.
I kind of enjoy Love
Totally
Island.
get it.
No. I get that. Like, I don't like it. It's a little too cringe for me. I get that. I cannot watch talk shows, and I don't understand. And I was thinking about why can't I? And comparing this to how Taylor is thinking too. And I think part of it is that, like, there is a level of fakery going on, but it's portrayed as realism in a balance that is just intolerable to me. Because like there are certain things that have a veneer, like that are trying to like not break that line so that you're taking it, what's the whole thing in watching movies? You don't want to have the illusion broken. What's the word I'm looking for? Jacob,
Breaking the fourth wall.
Your fourth wall?
Not the fourth wall, the believability. There's a word for it. I don't know why it's escaping me. But like when something happens and it breaks your immersion in a movie or a show, and you're like, oh well, and then all of a sudden you remember that you're watching a show and not experiencing the story. And there are like and I was thinking about this with like Love Island or just porn. Like there is a tiny bit of separation and this fiction that's going on that isn't reality. And daytime, not even daytime television, just talk shows they don't have that protection. They are all of the fakery of a fictional story while being 100% real reality as well. And it hurts so much to watch for me.
I get what you're saying.
They should not exist. They should be purged from the planet.
No.
There is no good one, no not one.
I always enjoy like when you have I like the whole celebrity talk show thing. Like I like hearing some of the behind the scenes stuff. Okay, have you ever seen the clip of Maisie from Game of Thrones? And she did an April Fool's prank thing on one of them. And she basically is like, she accidentally spoils part of the ending or a fake ending to Game of Thrones. And she basically like immediately freaks out and like fools everybody. It's very funny, but terrifying at the time because you have no idea it's happening. And then she like pulls an April Fool's prank. And it's good. But like everyone on that set believes her because it's so fucking good. Like I love stuff like that. Like I like seeing the actors.
Absolutely not. You are Abraham before the Lord Almighty, trying to reckon for Sodom and Gomorrah, and I will not have it. They are the lowest form of anything.
Okay, so putting aside our hatred, putting aside Alan's deep loathing for TV shows, talk shows, can we talk about the episode a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I felt like Taylor was the most autistic.
And I get it.
Alan also maybe coming in second place here. I just like the way that they ask the questions and she's thinking about like how to sit and like how to, where to look. And I just thought it was so funny.
And they're getting through it. Tecton.
Oh, he's such a peach.
He is guiding this ship.
I love him.
He is captain, of the sea right now, making their way through the Northwest Passage. But then Wanton won't shut the fuck up. It's like,
Wanton was so
Taylor's
funny.
got a bunch of dirty, dark secrets and things that we could talk about. And
I love that.
I would have Robloxed him right there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fun.
No, Tecton for president, though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Could he,
him.
great. He is, as we've established, good at like, it's something that Taylor like most of the time handled with the Undersiders. But, you put her in a scenario where
the face stuff.
Yeah, it's the face. Except, because you can't let Tattletale do that because Tattletale's going to talk herself into getting shot.
Right. Or
if you let her go for more than a few lines.
Yeah.
Can relate. But Taylor, is if it's not threatening someone, like Taylor's not good at that.
Accurate. So accurate.
So you got to have Tecton there to be like, yo, let me pull some Riz and really smooth this out.
How to.
Let me pull some Riz.
Let me pull some Riz.
Alan, please, you're going to date us.
Call
Someone
me
please call in and date Jacob. That's what you meant, right?
What did you say?
I said someone needs to date Jacob. Please call in.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that would just be the best if Jacob fell in love with a listener.
Yeah, that's what we all want.
That's right.
You know,
I truly could not tell if that was sarcasm.
No, that was so sarcastic. So funny.
Michael, clip that.
So good.
And now we've come to the secret reason the podcast was made.
Hey! It just
was
turns
never
into a
about the
talk
pizza.
show. It turns into
It
a
was
dating
about-
show.
We have another caller in from Pneumonia, Wisconsin. Hello, caller. Who are you, and why do you think you should be able to allowed to date our Jacob?
Pneumonia.
It's her actual
Calling in from Pathermia, Ohio. Yes, caller, you're on the line.
Please tell me the pneumonia.
No, Pneumonia, Wisconsin was where my WWF wrestling character was from when I was 3 years old. Every time I would wrestle with my father, I was the high-flying commando,
Pneumonia,
Alan, from all the way from Pneumonia, Wisconsin, or Pathermia, Ohio. My signature move was, yes, the flying souvlaki, as we all know.
I know all about the flying souvlaki. Oh my god!
Yeah, it turns out as you grow older, you find out all your wrestling moves are just Greek dishes.
I think that's a very unique experience to you, Alan.
To you and your dad. Oh
To
my god!
you and your dad.
Oh,
Precious
man.
memories. Nobody else shares them.
Good times. Good times.
I'm very sad that Pneumonia, Wisconsin has turned up 0 results.
I also Googled it.
It's such a small town.
I'm so upset.
It's so small. It's not
I'm
on
so
the map.
upset. Oh my god.
Oh, that's funny.
Amazing. Oh.
Anyway,
was
to
good.
sober Hannah up, to take her from one crying to another crying,
Oh my god.
we then get the fourth Endbringer,
Jesus.
Kansu. And
Oh, yeah.
for our next 3 Endbringers, I had no clue about these names.
Oh yeah,
so
I had to look them up too.
Yeah, so I looked it up,
Yeah.
which I had never done before, and it was interesting. Kansu is literally translated. The name means traveler, so perfect for the thing.
Mhm.
And mainly related to the moon traveling across the sky.
Oh,
It's
I
a
did know
moon
that.
deity. It's a Japanese
Yeah.
moon
It's a-
deity, I believe.
yes.
Egyptian, but yes,
Egyptian, sorry,
Um,
Egyptian.
it does look. The name does definitely feel like Indian Japanese, though.
Yeah.
Which I assumed it was a Hindu god. Shows what I know. Yeah, traveler moon. So it's a falcon-headed creature, but it has like the moon on top of its head. Very much like Kansu has the giant like moon orb in the middle of its body with the silver light leaking out, and like its arms and legs and torso and whatnot are all like attached around it so it can rotate.
Which is horrifying.
Yeah, that was. I
had
thought
to
it was
look
a
up a
very
picture
apt
of it.
name.
I had to look up
so
a
did
picture
I.
of it because I thought that Kansu was riding on the ball. I didn't know that
Yeah.
the ball was like his stomach. I was a little
This was the first time that I realized while reading it that it was not riding the ball either. A la
Okay, good.
It's like his
Airbender style.
midsection.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who thought that because I'm like,
Yeah, I definitely
he, like-
imagined it was riding it
like riding-
Airbender style,
like riding that ball?
around.
he riding that ball right now?
There's some really
Yeah.
good fan art that I remember looking up when I first read it. That was really good. But yeah, it's an odd shape.
Yeah,
It's real fat.
Yeah.
It's a real big fella.
He is a
Yeah.
big fella. He a big scary motherfucker is what he is.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh Lord,
Yeah, the
he
whole
coming.
like time pillars that's just so spooky.
Oh god. And they like rotate and then he changes the directions of them and they rotate in the opposite. Just
It's like watching the worst version of Wipeout.
Getting wiped out. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting describing the way that like the buildings that had gotten stuck in the time bubble that like how the building degraded inside of it, and just like, and then the just like the scattering of skeletons left behind in the wake of the time bubble thingy, column thingy.
Yeah.
Just like,
I mean, you just imagine being stuck in one spot, I guess, for like who knows how long.
Yeah, you have. I mean, enough so that you are not just dead and decomposing, but that you are skeletal. That takes some time.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's
for sure.
We're decades to centuries of time. You know, it's for like a building to rust and collapse.
To erode.
You know,
yeah.
It's a long time.
And like, at what point, like if you're caught in the bubble, like at what point do you just end it? Because you know that it's either that or you're going to starve.
Yeah. Dark. Especially if you know you're caught. Like, I wonder how often, like, how much do you try to escape while you're inside?
Right.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Well, I mean, Taylor says, it might be the next chapter, but Taylor says that some people like packed food, like for when they went up against him again later. Yeah, I think it's in the next chapter.
Yeah, you're right.
When people tried to pack food, and she's like, those stupid, like, foolish bastards. Like, they just, they pack food in this thought of like, yeah, I'm gonna try and see it, last as long as I can. It's like, but no, man, there's not.
Am I correct?
Coming out of this
between the next couple chapters, I think Legend is the only character that we see survive the bubble. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you want to talk about that?
Oh my god, it's the coolest.
Because it happens so fast.
It does happen so fast.
So the legend thing is in chapter 6. So
so let's
Is it in chapter 6?
Yes, I wrote a note.
Oh shoot, I thought it was here. Okay.
Yeah. No,
we'll get to it.
Yeah. This is all of this stuff with Kansu is like the end of 4, beginning of 5, and then the cauldron stuff takes place in most of 5. And then 6 is there's a ton of stuff just happening and skippy nonsense. So skibbity raise,
Skibbity.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be cool.
Go on.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be cool. Yeah.
No, Hannah, you're so cool right now.
Thank you.
Real Sigma move.
I don't like that. I don't like that word. It's being used at me. Shall we move on to chapter 5?
Yes.
Okay. Chapter
transitions 5 are gonna be crazy.
I'm so sorry, Michael.
He's got it.
Not as crazy as our sponsor for today.
No. So for chapter 5, the battle with Kansu continues for 3 days as the world watches. People from across the world are taken to Cauldron to negotiate, and Taylor walks through a portal that appears in her room to go, and ends up standing behind Tattletale rather than with Eidolon, who's on the other side of the room.
Wait,
and Cauldron
is Eidolon there?
Is it all? Who is it? Who's the big?
I didn't think he was there.
Who's the big kahuna that's there? And she's like across from her.
Chevalier's there.
Chevalier, that's who it is. It's Chevalier.
Eidolon's not there. That's important for reasons people who've read all of Worm and remember certain details will understand.
Oh, okay. Yes, no, Chevalier is there. But she's standing Taylor is specifically standing with Tattletale. So she's standing with the Undersiders. And Cauldron reveals that they know how the world will end, which is a bit of a mic drop there.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
And they discuss a little bit about how they can help, how they can fight. There is a bit of trading of lives in the discussion. Yeah.
Oh, that whole conversation is just so cold, right? Like it's so the whole like the fact that they look at Glycigwinier and is like, we could get you 100,000 dead capes by 2027. She's like, no, No. And everybody else is just like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
they're just so quick to throw lives around.
We talk a lot about how one of the themes in Worm is just sort of this constant, does the ends justify the means type of thing, with specifically with like Taylor and what she's trying to do, all that kind of stuff. Is she doing? Is the bad going to be outweighed by the good, and all that kind of talk?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it really hits right here, because you look at that reality, like the world's going to end. It's been prophesied. Cauldron knows how it's going to happen. The world will end unless millions of people die. Do you hit the button? It's hard. It's a classic, kind of philosophy and ethics 101, but it's still a really good thought experiment. And I love that Wild Bow doesn't shy away from it. And we sort of really get a good conversation about it.
Yeah.
Because like, that's at the root of a lot of really popular villains with like well-written villains really seem to rely on that concept. I think of like superhero villains specifically, like Magneto and Doctor Doom. Like, they have this mentality that their way is correct, and at the end of the day, if the world would just let them succeed, yes, it'll cost lives, but the world will be better off at the end, And and I think the fact that it's playing in here works really well for Worm.
Yeah.
Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Yeah.
Perfect.
Would you guys hit the button? 1 million dead, but 1 billion live.
I mean, are the billion gonna die if I don't press the button?
Billion are gonna die.
Yeah, heartbeat.
Done deal.
I mean, you have to, right? Like, there's not.
Yeah.
There's no other answer.
Well, I mean, you either hit the button or you don't, and you like.
Well, in the sense that, I mean, I guess for some people, I know there's sort of the ethical decision of like, well, I don't want to be responsible for the deaths of 1 million. Like, I want to save the billion, but I don't want to be the one responsible for it.
I don't want to have to press the button.
I think the thing is, once you start dealing with even human lives and that number, it almost makes it such a large abstraction. It doesn't feel real. Right. If that makes sense.
And it's funny you said that, Nick. That was a really good thought, because like, my initial response is, we see this play out in a much, much smaller scale in The Dark Knight, right? The big climax of The Dark Knight. And it's funny how when people watch The Dark Knight, it's, and of course the spoilers for The Dark Knight, 14-year-old film. It's how when the guy chooses not to blow up the other bus or other
the boat
ferry. The ferry.
The other ferry.
And everyone cheers and the audience cheers, and you're like, yeah, that's what I would do. But it's a much smaller scale and it's much more personal, but it's the exact same dilemma, right? Both ferries are going to blow up unless one decides to kill the other, right? The world is going to end unless we sacrifice, a chunk of the population. It's the exact same dilemma. But in that example, we cheer and we root for going out together rather than having that blood on our hands. But once you scale it up and it's a lot less personal, then our decision sort of flips. And we're like, well, now we're just looking at spreadsheets and numbers and not having to look them in the eye.
Bunch of zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. We do have quite a host of villains and heroes here. We get to see Saint.
For
the first time in person.
Yeah.
Which I love the little exchange between him and Dragon's like, I don't think you have a good measure of what's right, Saint. You can just hear the sass.
The sass. I love it.
So good.
I love it so much.
And then you have I'm trying to remember all the names. They're so cool. We have Gleisig Winye, and Marquis kind of working for the birdcage, trying to be like, hey, we could help. Like, we've got some people here.
Yeah.
That could help. But then basically they're all like, no. And Marquis like, I know secrets. And she's like, no, you don't.
You're not going to
Not enough secrets, Marquis.
Not enough.
We know secrets about your people. Like, you're not going to say it, but we know stuff about teacher and,
Yeah, and I love that they say that. They're like, hey, we're going to say, hey, teacher, if you don't want us to spill your secret, you should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but for some reason I immediately jumped to PDF files, I'll say.
We all know that that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why, but that was just where my mind went. Maybe it's just the whole terrible trope of like, what's the worst thing like secret a teacher could have? And that would be one of them.
Oh, anyway, for sure. I didn't even go that route, but yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Could be.
Anyways, and then we've got who's the African hero?
Mordnog.
Or the African villain, not hero. Mordnog.
Mordnog, yeah.
What a great
Yes.
And she needs people to feed her power, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So that's terrifying.
Yeah. Can we talk like the birdcage? There's a little imbalance there. Like you've got Glastigwenye. Sorry, Glastigwenye. I'm gonna butcher that forever. It's like I need thousands of capes. Favorite. Mordnag, I need to feed on thousands. And then Marquis is like just a little bony spiky boy. And you're like, there's a little power difference here. Don't we think there's quite balance out. And I need two prisons.
Well, and what's funny though, right, is that Mordnog isn't in the birdcage, right? She's just she's kind of like Nilbog in Africa, where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna let her do her thing and not like worry about her too much. I do love her outfit though, right? She's got a cut off t-shirt with like a punk rock band on it.
Yeah.
And it's like and she is the definition, I feel like, of like step on me goth mommy energy.
Yeah.
But like the kind of step on you that squishes your head like a watermelon.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot she's not in the birdcage. That's right. She was just there.
No, she's not.
Yeah.
Because remember, Africa's basically like nobody touches that because it's just all powered warlords.
Yeah.
Fighting amongst each other, and the average lifespan's like 30 years old.
Well, they compare her to Taylor in a way that like the way that Taylor was. And the Undersiders were running Brockton Bay, that like if you wanted to do anything in Brockton Bay, you kind of need to like check with the Undersiders because they were kind of ruling everything. And they say that it's the same idea that like if you want to do anything in anywhere near or around her territory, like you have to talk to her first. Like you can't get around that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. She's so cool.
Yeah.
And her little skelly boy.
Little shadow.
I think her skelly boy's name is Astier.
Would that have a name?
Little skelly boy.
Yeah. Astier. Cool. Her name means murder knight. And Astier means scavenger.
Oh my gosh. Literally the best name. Murder knight scavenger.
They speak Afrikaner. Or Afrikaan, I guess.
Afrikaan. Yeah.
I was doing some translating, when they're talking about people dying. And she says, translated, people die every second of every day. Babies die in the womb and the children shot to death like dogs. Women are raped and murdered and nightmares tear men apart to feast on their insides. And then later, I cannot spend power without leaving the Nightlands helpless against their neighbors. Wow. And then at the end, 5,000 alive. It doesn't matter if they have power or not. A fraction of what you offered the fool.
The fool.
Damn.
Glastigwenye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
She called Glastigwenye the fool?
Yes, she did. It's interesting. Because Glastigwenye is the one who calls everybody by other names than what they are. Like she calls Taylor Queen Administrator, which is just so... Glastigwenye is and will always be one of my favorite capes. Merely because of like her crazy weird, fae fairy affiliation.
I do love like after she says all of her stuff, Taylor's like, oh, she's just crazy.
Oh, she's crazy.
Yeah. It's a thin line. It's hard to tell.
Anyway, I must attend to my fairy court.
Yeah.
The fairies need me.
Well, the thing though is that like with things with things being as weird as they are though, like she's the kind of like weird tapped energy that like I don't know if I want to call her crazy to her face, and I don't know if I want to like
definitely not.
She's what we like to call manic pixie nightmare girl.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. I wouldn't be surprised if like we get to the end and it's like, oh yeah, no, actually Glass Equenia was the only one that knew what was going on. Like she was the only one that had a tap.
Right.
Like I'd be like, sure, yeah, no, sounds right. That's sure. Worm has turned into such a weird book at this point that I don't. It's okay.
I'm thinking back to like early first couple arcs where the wards are talking and they're speculating about Taylor's powers. I think that's what it is. And one of them says like maybe she has some sort of mind control or mind reading. And they're like, no, nobody has mind reading. And it's like, okay, first of all, look at the world you're in. You're going to say that with that much certainty. It's like this here where you're like, okay, first of all, you're calling her crazy, but like, have you looked around? Maybe she's not. Like, is it that hard to believe?
Yeah.
That maybe she's just a bit more in tune with something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Taylor.
I freaking love her so much. Oh my gosh. I don't actually know what she looks like. I haven't seen a picture of her, but like I kind of always imagine her. I'm gonna say this now before I look it up, but I always kind of imagined her very like, very elf-like, like almost like Lord of the Rings elf-like, but like her clothing is very. If she weren't in the birdcage and had to wear like birdcage sweats, which maybe we should make those too, that like that she would wear like flowing sheer fabric with like lots of layers and like binding like cuffs and you know like circlets and you know shimmering veils and like total fairy vibes. Like absolutely love it.
I kind of actually imagined her. If you imagine like a dark black or purple version of what I'm posting now, it's a Fi from Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword, like the spirit of the Master Sword. It's kind of this like inhuman,
the most annoying companion.
Well, I mean, Navi's up there.
Ooh.
No, Fi is definitely worse.
You said like a dark. But, do you say dark purple?
Like a dark black, like almost like she's got stars in her. Is kind of.
Yeah, I
the
love
feeling
that.
I'm getting.
No, I love that. So cool.
Let's keep going. And
let's
sorry,
keep going.
Michael,
so
once more.
There's a lot that happens in this. This whole chapter with Cauldron is one of the most fascinating.
Meaty.
They know how the world ends, but obviously it's one of those things like we know how the world ends, but
we're not gonna tell you.
Yeah,
we can't tell you because then we wouldn't know how the world ends. It's kind of
it's so stupid. My God.
Yeah.
Oh, just the worst.
It is. I don't know. It is sort of that. Yeah, Jacob, you're right. It is that ultimate paradox of how many people are you willing to kill to save the world from a bigger threat?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I love you know, I think Tattletale puts it really succinctly. She says, "Get fucking real," which is just to me is the epitome of I don't know. Like, I think the whole thing is tough, and like, I wouldn't want to have to be in the hot seat to like decide any of this. Like, you don't want me in the hot seat. You don't want Hannah pushing the button here, but like, we're all sitting around in the circle, and it feels so far away. Like it's happening, but it also feels like, will the end of the world happen? Like it's not real until it's happening. And so like the idea of like, well, we're just going to push the button with the idea that like, well, the world should be ending. And if it does, then we're fucked. But like, we don't know how or when or why. And like, maybe we can try and circumvent it. So like, we don't want to press the button too soon. Like I get the issue.
Yeah.
And it feels very much like when we were fighting Behemoth, this idea of like, well, we have, you know, the capes that are underground, all the cold capes, like, well, we have our own, you know, stuff at play here. We can't just like come out and help. Like we have our own issues. It's like, this is bigger than your little issues. So like, this is bigger than what you think. And Cauldron's big thing about like, oh, well, there's more going on here than this. And like, there's bigger stuff than End of the World. And it's like, what do you mean bigger stuff than End of the World? Like, this is kind of the situation where we need to lay our cards on the table and like talk about what we know. And they're just not willing to. Upsets me greatly. Also, Fault Line's crew is there as well, which...
Yeah.
I don't know where they are.
I love all this, but why
hunt.
the hell are they there? Like, we're talking about
because they open portals.
That's true.
They're the portal openers.
You're right.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Of course they have to be there. They're big players. That's why all the big players are here. I do imagine that like one of the big things, like Tattletale's there to see if the creator is there, which, oh my God, blow my fucking mind with the whole creator thing. I don't know why I thought that they had been created. Like the idea that the Endbringers were brought into being by somebody who then like just chills on Earth. Like, the fuck? But that was cool.
Yeah, something real fucky going on.
There is something real fucky going on, and I'm ready to know things.
Something is rotten in the state of these portals.
The state of Denmark.
Something's a little sick in Pneumonia, Wisconsin.
Pneumonia, Wisconsin.
That's where
Way
I
to bring it back, Jacob.
Since they're on like alternate dimensions and realities, I like to think that they are in an alternate version of Wisconsin in a city called Pneumonia.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's where the birdcage is. The birdcage is hidden in Pneumonia, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's actually how it emptied out some of those other ones in an alternate world. It's Madison, but elsewhere. Madison wasn't the populated place it was, and it was just Pneumonia.
In Pneumonia, Wisconsin.
Chapter 6?
Yes. Before we do that really quick, I just have one last comment because this is what happens when Hannah takes notes. Hannah has too many comments. Okay, so one, crew is fucking pissed about something. Guessing probably just everything, all the things. But my end of episode thoughts were that this chapter specifically, this arc obviously, I feel like shifts a lot of things, but like this chapter specifically is the moment that Worm goes, for me, from being about like a teenage girl who has powers living in a world of parahumans into this sci-fi end of the world alternate universe big deal scenario. Like this is the point where everything, like this whole book, just it's no longer about Taylor and like Taylor figuring stuff out, and it's all of a sudden it's about like cosmic level stuff here. And I think it's probably just because we've spent so much time in Brockton Bay, and now like we've spent 2 chapters in Chicago, but like this, I feel like this, everything with Cauldron and them talking about the end of the world, and like this is the moment where the story has shifted. Like this is not just a little superhero book. This is like a sci-fi end of the world kind of thing. And it changes the way that I read. I'm going to be reading now, and like changes the way I think about the story, which I haven't decided yet if I like or not. But
that's, well said.
All I could think is before Cauldron has kind of been, the sinister background force, but then we see Cauldron and they're negotiating and whatnot, and they're so fucking cool. Like, I mean, they hit you with that banger line, like, whoa, what makes you think you can save the world? It's like, that's what we do. We've already saved the world once.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say, how can we forget about that line?
Fuck.
We've already done it once, bitch.
Yeah. Just like the concept of like, that there is a secret organization and they're making these big plans that, result in like, hundreds of thousands of people dying, but they've already saved the world and nobody knows about it. Like, whoo!
Yeah.
Just good.
All right. Chapter 6.
6.
All right. 6. the chapter that we all hate, the time skip of death. Taylor's 18th birthday. Congratulations, Taylor. You're officially an adult. Taylor goes back to Brockton Bay before being sworn into the protectorate. Visits Regent's Little Memorial there, and then meets up with the Undersiders and kind of has a little bit of a reunion there. And Jack Slash makes his move.
Yeah.
2 years.
Let's get all the good stuff out of the way.
Yeah, let's talk about the good stuff.
Let's talk about Bohu and Tohu.
Bohu.
This is another one.
Yes.
This is another
The
one.
sisters.
An interesting combo. The twins.
Well, the sisters is what they're called.
Sure.
It's both. They're called both at different times.
Okay.
So you're both right.
You know I hate that, Nick. We can't both be right.
Everybody wins, Hannah.
No!
I thought we were going with a similar theme from Kansu, so we're going to stick with Egyptian. Close. It's a lot of you would actually know this. Tohu wa bohu is a Hebrew phrase found in the book of Genesis. Specifically, the creation narrative. Any guesses as to what?
I mean, I looked it up, so.
Old Testament class was a long time ago.
I
was gonna say, I purged that years ago.
It's the phrase describing the earth. So now the earth was formless
void
and
shapeless, and
void and shapeless is another one. It's formless and empty. Yeah, it is those phrases, formless and empty, or without form and void. You know,
I like it.
That's so interesting because I'm at that part in Supernatural also. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Which, as much as it does sound like a bionicle.
Yep, it does.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Tahu, who I believe is the original fire bionicle. The first.
That's right, baby.
Of its kind.
Or the car. Tahoe. I'm just trying to contribute.
That's just a really slutty version of that bionicle.
I never made the connection. That's why I love Tahoes. Wow.
Wow.
A real hard-on for bionicles.
We know. I'm so sorry. Continue, please.
Rest in peace, bionicle. But it also made me think we're talking about how Bohu is shaped, because Bohu is the tower one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the freaking mountain.
Bohu's the big one.
Is it a mountain? I thought it was like literally a spire.
Yeah.
That plants in the ground and then infects the whole city with traps and mutations.
Yeah.
In my mind, she's a bit wider, but she's very, very much like just a pillar.
Yeah, I haven't looked up the exact things, exact representation of that.
I'm looking them up right now.
Ooh, but they were talking about she can vary in tower-like. She can vary in height. She's been seen on occasions being 1,300 feet or 5 miles tall.
Yeah,
gosh.
Which is, for the record,
horrifying.
Is you're in above the atmosphere.
I was
out of sight.
I don't know about the 5 miles thing. That's pretty crazy. But at least for the 1,300 feet, if you've ever seen a mast radiator tower, or a broadcast tower for radio or television, for your local area, those start at 200 feet and go up. There are some really freaking tall ones around here. And I mean, some of those are 1,200 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I think about that is honestly bigger than what I think of when I think of Endbringers.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Alan and I talking about how tall Behemoth is in the last episode of Dissecting.
Not even half a tree.
Yeah.
I love how everything's measured by pine trees.
Yeah, Behemoth at 50 feet would like literally not even be noticed by Tohu. Just it's infathomably larger. I'm like trying to look up references right now from NASA. How tall that is.
Yeah, I didn't find the Bohu and Tohu art that I wanted, but I did find somebody who did like potential Endbringers, and they did a bunch of artwork for like what could come, and it's really good. By Pete Mornaker. Looks really cool. My gosh.
Yeah. They're kind of weird too, right? So you've got Tohu's the tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
And then Bohu can imitate 3 capes at once and kind of protects Tohu.
I was going to say, it's literally just 2 fingers at Eidolon. Guess who else can take power? Like, who could do the power thing, bitch?
Yeah. We lose Annex in that first encounter. That was sad.
I guess so. We don't really say that.
I looked it up and it was confirmed. The vibe was there, but
the vibe was there, but they don't say it.
It's basically Annex saying like, I wasn't fully in, I'm bleeding pretty bad, and Grace saying, oh, we'll get
be
to
there
you
in just a second.
And then Taylor's like, false promises.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, which is such a bad okay, no, sorry. We're supposed to be talking about good things. But yes, no. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. 5 miles. I got to look up the numbers. Not as tall as I was thinking, but that's like commercial airliner where they fly. That's like 5 miles. So that's how tall Tohu is. Just like touching 747s.
Big.
Woof.
Big. I think is how.
Big Yoshi.
Yeah, that's how people often say it.
It's the correct.
And Tohu steals 3 powers. So she.
Yeah, sorry. Bohu's the tall one. Tohu's the power
Bohu's big. Tohu's small. How does she pick her targets? Because they mentioned that she picks Lung. And what's his name? The guy who died in the behemoth fight.
Oh,
who did the big bomb? Fierce. Yeah. So she has Lung's power and Fierce. That's like, well, Fierce's dead before you emerged, and Lung is in the forkin' birdcage. So like, how the fuck are you picking your targets? Like, how are you picking your people, your 3 faces?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think they explain that.
Just knows things, I guess.
Yeah. Creepy ass shit right there.
Yeah.
It can read minds, Hannah.
It's upsetting.
Maybe it can read memories.
Ooh, that's good.
So if
I like
it's fighting people who have fought those people before, it can be like, it just takes it all in and says,
Plucks
who's the best to defend me right now?
Cherry picks. Gosh.
Theorizing all sort of stuff over here.
Yeah,
we do lose Annex, which is very sad to me because his power is one of my favorite. And
very cool.
Much like Regent, it did feel maybe a bit too quick, except this one was even quicker.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't
barely a
even
reference.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of recovering from that. I just didn't even realize.
Yeah, I liked him.
I liked him a lot. Yeah. And Gru is with the lady, red hand lady, the red gloves, the red. What are they called?
Coven. It's the red hands, but I think Cozen.
Which Imp's little thing about like they're married now. Like,
but they're pregnant.
Like,
that
Jesus,
was funny.
Imp, shut up. Like, God.
I love the setup for that.
Confused.
It was so good because like you get this moment, right? Because like time skips, so time's passed, and they've grown. Maybe they're more mature, and you get a really kind of a nice, sweet interaction between Taylor and Imp, and you're like, okay, maybe this is just a sign of growth.
Yeah.
And then, nope, immediate joke.
Classic Imp.
Yep.
Which
immediate prank.
This hinges a little bit on my issues, but like, I'll try not to talk about it too much. But I think it's funny but because so much of this chapter is so confusing, it loses some of its funniness to me, and it just feels confusing because like she doesn't say who's married, and at first we think it's Harrion and Flechette,
right?
And then we realize like, oh, okay, I guess it's not. I guess it's Gru and Closen, and then it's like, no, actually, no, they're not pregnant. They're not married, but they're pregnant. It's like, okay, well, that one clearly we know. Like, okay, that's clearly this is Imp, but like, like some stuff Imp says, it's like we get that it's a joke, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's fucking hilarious. But because there's so much like happening in this chapter, it didn't. When I did finally get that, like, oh, she's messing with Taylor. Like it wasn't as fun as it could have been, you know, because I love Imp's little practical jokes and it just didn't hit also, the way I would have liked it to.
I do love Imp. Imp got Heartbreaker though.
Fuck yeah!
I did like that.
Took a lot of his kids
Cozen
in.
just wearing Ren Fair garb? Because that's what it sounds like.
It kind of does sound like that, yeah. Taylor. Something that I read online that somebody pointed out is that Taylor really does notice female bodies.
Yes. She's like hyper aware.
Like she's hyper aware of Rachel's developments. She's hyper aware of Cozen's outfit, which that makes more sense. She talks about Imp, and then she's like, oh, Gru looks the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. Yeah, no. Yeah, Closen has like the white lacy chemise is like cinched tight around her bosom.
Yeah, honestly, once again, I think it was that was giving me strong, like, you know, everybody wearing the bodices at the Ren Fair vibe.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, the one artwork that I see here of her is like kind of looks like that. Yeah.
Let's see, we got that. The Dragonfly, I love it.
Love the Dragonfly. That's very fun.
Love the naming for that. That's perfect. Also, there's a line here that nobody else is going to care about, but if you know, you know. There's a mention of the woman in blue fighting the Simurgh with the United Capes. And that is something that we will all forget about until we come back to it in Ward many years later. But I am very surprised that got mentioned then.
The woman in blue?
The woman in blue, which keep in mind, we are going to spend in real world like 7 years. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. Like 5 years until we hear mention of the woman in blue in Wildbow's writings again.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a plan.
He really does plant.
He really does.
Plant crumbs.
And the great thing about this is you can just mention the woman in blue and just like, if I come back to it, I come back to it. Like Sleeper. If I ever want to explain that, you know, or I want to come back to this character. I've got so many, I could just pick 100 and I've, tapped into 1%.
Yeah.
It's like great to have that kind of breadth in writing.
Yeah. Like I love when we revisited Mouse Protector in like the flashback.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was so fun. Like, cause there's so many capes being thrown around and like all you hear is their names or like maybe their mentions of their powers. It's like, that's cool. As they whizzed by, you're like, oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Like Airwolf.
Like,
yeah. Airwolf. We all love Airwolf.
That's
Airwolf. A number one character. Honestly, all of Worm, Airwolf, 100%. And if you love Airwolf too, let us know in the comments. I want to see fan art of Airwolf.
Me too. Hell yeah.
Write Wildbow and tell him that Airwolf was your favorite character.
Confuse the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's going through notes as quick as he can. I don't remember. Maybe I did. I have so many. Who's to say I didn't?
We're gonna get him on the podcast one day, and he's gonna be like, "Okay, guys, I have a question. Who the fuck is Airwolf?"
What do you mean? Who the fuck is Airwolf? You made it. I should be asking you that.
For those who don't know,
tell me, do you know Airwolf's trigger event?
Alan was trying to remember Storm Tiger, and he was also trying to remember
Hookwolf.
Hookwolf, and then he thought Airwolf. And that was a long time
it
ago.
was
And we
just
still
Storm
think it's
Tiger,
great.
but I couldn't remember because it was just he was shooting all the air blasts out, and I just couldn't.
But Airwolf is canon now, so
Airwolf is canon now.
That is true. All right. Do we want to get into the nitty gritty of why this time skip doesn't work more?
Hold on. Let me think about if I have any other good things to say about this chapter. Oh, I do love the so Regent's little memorial with the masks, I think is really cool. But I didn't understand the rings. What are all the rings?
So remember, Heartbreaker got married a lot and had a lot of kids. Like he forced famous people to marry him.
Yeah.
And this is her collecting all those rings now that he's dead and gone.
Solid. Okay, got it. That tracks. I just was like unsure. But that makes sense. Okay, cool. Also, I do really like that little moment where Taylor's like talking to Regent's memorial.
It's really nice. It's really sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that is the, I don't know, the good way to handle Regent. Like,
yeah,
I met you and encountered you when you were, well, not a good guy, but an okay guy, and like it doesn't make up for how terrible of a person you were. But like, he's a complicated character to handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was her talking to him also. Yeah, just really good. Not just a good character moment and a good writing, but also sort of a good
some closure
meta explanation for Wildbow to talk about Regent.
Yeah. And it gives some closure. Like the whole gang is here together now. Like we're all meeting up. And like even though Regent's not here, like we're still meeting right next to his memorial, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm ready.
Do we want to, I'll just ask, do we want to talk about the interlude and then just finish with time skip or not?
Oh, maybe we should. Maybe that's for the best. Or do we just get angry now and then talk about the interlude?
Let's just get angry now and then purge with
the interlude because I enjoyed the interlude.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
If you'll allow me, because we've talked about this a lot before, but I think I have time to structure my opinions a little bit more. So I was thinking about what time skips happen in other medias in which we're looking for a time skip that's comparable for this. So you can't have the time skip at the beginning as like a prologue to chapter 1 movement. We need something near the end or halfway at the very least. Which got me into thinking about, well, Worm isn't a one like body thing as much as a singular movie would be. So let's look at trilogies or multiple, movies in a series that have time skips in between. Because that's way more recognized as okay. There's a good decent amount of time period between a couple. For those of you who like the Batman series, we've got a decent amount of time that's unspecified between the first and second movie in the Christopher Nolan Batman, and then like 8 fucking years in between the second and the third, that we just kind of like roll into, and things are explained with, essentially Gordon giving his little speech about the 8 years, explaining what's happened since. Which is, once again, very comparable to what we're about to talk about. So in my mind, what sets this apart from Batman Dark Knight Rises? And it is that this is happening in the middle / end of an arc. It's the end of an arc, but it's capping it off and giving us this little extra that we just, if this had been, and not just an arc, but like an overarching arc, as we talk about seasons kind of in our other podcast, that like everybody recognizes that, you know, arcs 1 through 8 all go together. You know, you have a Slaughterhouse 9 arc that is also a set of arcs. And this one doesn't, like, what is this capping off? Is this just the turning arcs of Taylor? Like, what are we doing here? It feels very out of place. Doesn't feel like it has a lot of structure to it. So not only does this not have a good place to exist, or it's not put in a place to exist. This isn't the opening to a new set of arcs for us, like that, you know, like that movie is The Dark Knight Rises, where this could have been the opening to arc 26 of Taylor doing this, but it also has this weird, let's all get back together all of a sudden. When we, once again, that would have been good, literally, probably the next chapter. If we just did that in the next opening to the next arc, I think this would have done a lot better.
I think so.
But inside of itself, it is very confusing in terms of its perspective. I know that I at least had to read it multiple times to figure out what the heck was going on, because we are essentially getting the news. We're getting exposition through the news, which is like one of the laziest forms of writing, in my opinion. And she's like going over to tapes and history. Like, this is the ultimate tell, don't show example.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we get there and it's, I mean, we catch up, but it's kind of unsatisfying. Like, this is capping off, once again, this is capping off a thing. So this should feel like an epilogue to this arc instead of a weird transfer into the next one. You could have opened the next arc up with her talking to these people and then going, hey, I've got to go. And then, like, not explaining what's happened in the meantime, just have off comments of like, man, you fought a lot of Endbringer since then or something. She goes, has her swear in, man, it's been a rough 2 years, you know, or something. Chevalier can give a speech as he inducts Weaver into the Hall of Fame. Like, this, you could have had that Gordon speech explaining what's been going on in the past 2 years, and that Weaver is the sign of survival and change in the face of, like, Weaver's gone up against all of them at this point. Weaver has been in every single Endbringer, has fought every single Endbringer too. So of course she's going to be inducted into the Protectorate. So overall, it just terrible placement within its own chapter, terrible placement in the arc. This is at least the opening for this to explain how, like, it really is just the opening for this to explain the 2 year gap is the bad part. I think the rest of this actually would be acceptable, but it's ruined by that opening, her sitting in the plane looking at the video. And now I will shut the fuck up.
No, I think you're right. And like, I think also opening with Tecton being on the phone with her and being like, like we literally just had this in the previous episode where he's on the phone with her and he's like, where did you go? What are you doing? You disappeared. Like, where were you? And she's like, I mean, I was at Cauldron. Like, and so like we have already had this thing where he's on the phone being like, where are you? What are you doing? And now we're starting with that also again. Like, we're having another moment like that. It's like, why do we have to have it? It makes it seem a lot more closer than it actually is. And so that's like throws it off because you're thinking, okay, well, it's, you know, relatively quick after, you know, the last conversation we had. Like, I thought that this was like when we started the chapter, I thought it was she's headed to the next. She says she's late for the meeting. I assumed she's headed to another Cauldron meeting because they said they would meet again. And I'm assuming that's like a month later.
Right.
And it's not. And it gives, I felt like it gave me whiplash. Like, I just didn't know where we were. I didn't know what we were doing. And I understand, like, Wild Bill's trying to set it up so that when we arrive in Brockton Bay, she steps her foot on the sand. You go, oh my gosh, wait, is she back home? Like, is she home again? Like, she's 18, I guess she can go home. And it's supposed to feel like this, like, homecoming moment with the reuniting of the Undersiders. But it doesn't. It just feels confusing. And it doesn't feel like we know what's going on. It doesn't feel like we've earned a reunion. It just feels like we're being thrown into another situation where we don't know where we are again.
Yeah. I was thinking...
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Nick. No, you.
I was just going to say, I think it is... A lot of it does come from the fact that it's coming right off of the edge of that conversation with Tecton. So it makes it feel like it's an immediate thing, and there's very little awareness that it's a time skip. So there's a lot, and I get that maybe like that's kind of the point is like, oh, like look at this fun, like tricked you. It's a time skip, but I don't know.
Tricked you. Throws you in the pool. Like, God damn it! What was that?
Thanks, Wild Bill.
Thanks, Wild Bill. Also,
nice.
The thing that. Like, okay, so the reason we love and are so attached to the Undersiders is because we've experienced life with them. We've interacted with them. We've seen all their individual personalities. We've gotten to know them. We've gotten to learn their dynamics, how they work together. When Bitch shows up and hugs Taylor, that is such like a huge moment of like, oh my gosh, like she could have just come at her, but she didn't. She hugged her. And then she says like, well, they told me I should either hug you or punch you. And like, well.
Never beating the allegations there, by the way. I just read a post today that was like, what's up with those two? What's up with Taylor? Taylor gay? Or bi at the very least?
Well,
anyways.
Okay. So I was thinking more friendship wise, but the idea that like they come in, you feel the emotion there because it's like we've built this relationship over, 25, 24 arcs, and it feels earned in that way to like have that. But the thing is that Tecton even says that she's been with the Wards way longer than she ever was with the Undersiders. And yet I don't even remember all their names. And as a reader, like, I want to see her build those relationships. And I want to see that relationship with the Wards as well, because I like the idea of this warring of, your two families and like the two teams that were your family for so long. And like, and so I think that if we had more of a relationship with the Wards, that this reunion with the Undersiders would feel even more complicated, which I think would be a good thing. And it just, I feel like I was cheated out of all of the life that Taylor lived with the Wards that I wanted to experience and I wanted to see. And I didn't get any of it. Like I got one training session with Golem and one, block of them running and a shaky body cam of them in the middle of a fight for 30 seconds. Like it just, I feel cheated. And I don't know. I got so excited about the idea of her working with the Wards. And when she switches, she becomes a Weaver. It's like, there's this whole new chapter of who Taylor's going to be. And I'm so excited for it. And I want to see it. And she's finally getting to be the hero and build this whole new team of here. And then it's gone. It's not there. And now she's joining the Protectorate. So like now she's not even a Ward anymore. Like, I feel so cheated out of that potential, all the relationships. And then now found out what's his face died in the attack and I didn't even realize it. Like, and I'm not worried. I'm not upset. Like I've sobbed when Regent died. Like, and I realized like not everybody, as Alan said before, people, quit reading at that point because they realized they're not as emotionally attached. But like for me, it was big. And I want that same feeling. I love stories that make me cry. This is why I love Worms so much, because there's such strong emotion that comes from it. It's like, this could have been so good. Like, just, didn't even need to be super long. Like, I would have been satisfied with like 2 arcs maybe. And I didn't get any of it. Like, I got a half-assed arc with, one good heist in the snow.
Yeah.
I think probably, I may have said this already, but to kind of reiterate it, my guess is that Wildbow was feeling the pressure between wanting to get what get to the parts that he probably thought, this is what my fans want to see.
Right.
Versus this is what I like. I don't know. This is arc 25, right? And we know that there's 33 in the end.
Yeah.
30.
I mean, this whole section could have taken probably 10 arcs easily.
Oh, yeah.
And so I can imagine too, maybe there's also that sort of sense of weariness of like, okay, let's just get to the good stuff. And maybe one day I can go back and write a prequel thing that goes through all of this. I don't know. I can kind of get it. It is sad, but it is what it is.
I think you're right. And like, I think the idea that like, he's been doing this for so long, he has other stories he wants to tell. Like he wants to tell the next story in the universe, but that isn't Taylor. And so it's like, I have these readers who want the end. We're wrapping up. What feels like we're coming to a climactic, moment. We defeated an Endbringer, but now there's 3 more. And it makes sense to be like, I want this to be the culmination of the story. I'm still mad, but I do totally get it. Like
Would you like to hear from Wildbow his thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So collected and posted by Kyakin on Reddit from the Pig's Pen, his blog. The time skip. I'm thinking I'll rewrite it wholesale. Events will remain the same, but Taylor's story really demands more focus on this point in time. The fundamental problem was the story arc was that we jumped ahead 1.5 years and it was rushed. It was jarring due to the switch from a day-to-day focus to skipping months and weeks over the course of 6 or so chapters. I'm thinking I'll break it up into 2 new arcs. One
That's literally
would
what I
likely
said.
consist of interludes, many of the same events of Taylor's story, but from the perspective of her teammates and superiors, to help the time skip segue. More involvement with her new team and more focus on her and her changes or lack of change. This would mandate some time to set aside to put those new chapters together. And a later comment he has. I have not, for the record, stated that I'm adding material to the time skip. I've stated that I intend to rewrite it, as in replacing the material that is there. And then from 25.6's comment section, he wrote, I'll make it short and simple. I've had a lousy month with a lot on my plate. This arc / the time skip is something I've been mulling over in my head since I had the conception of where I was taking the story rather early on. And notes said this, either the comments or IRC. While I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do about the things that came before and the things that came after, I wasn't sure about how to handle the time skip. The thing about writing is sometimes you just have to write. You have doubts, you write through something until it becomes clear. You need to figure out how you're going to make a character work. You write until it crystallizes. Need to figure out a problem or how to make dialogue work. You write it. I aim to tackle the time skip by trusting my gut and writing it out, much as I have done with other aspects of the story that turned out well. Except I was tired and distracted, and I was doing a lot in very short spans of time. Most months, I write about 70K words. That's a medium-sized book.
Christ.
This month, I did that, a little more than that, in a fraction of the time. Incidentally, this idea of just write is part of why I'm not about to take a vacation and write side stories instead, or simply take a long hiatus. The work benefits more from steady writing and maintaining my habits and flow more than anything else. My vacation earlier in the month only served to force me to write 2 chapters, a full quarter of a book by pure word count, in a 24-hour period, and the disruption of the vacation threw me off my stride. This arc is the product of that, with 1 or 2 well-received chapters in the middle, which I wrote without disruption, and rougher chapters on either end. I didn't have the benefit of time to mull things over, and I didn't have uninterrupted time to write. Whew.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
I mean, once again, lest we ever forget, that this is the floor in terms of, quality of writing. And I would say there's a good gap between this chapter and his other stuff. Like a very good gap. And his writing is quality overall.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
like it goes without saying too, unlike Problems in a lot of other rushed sections of shows and movies, television more so, I think of here, where like you get to the end and the creators are like, all right, here we go, and we're going to get to the end and there's your ending. Unlike those, no spoilers, of course, but like the next few arcs of Worm are fire. Just like so good. And so it hurts now for a moment because it's a bit of a lull and like a down slope, but like it gets so good. It does an amazing job. So there's always that sort of thing in the back of my mind when I get to this point where it's, I just wish this was written a little bit better. Would like to have more time, yada, yada, but it's coming. The good stuff's coming, which is helpful.
I think this is why I'll rescind. This is bad. I have defended the time skip before, but in terms of like in the moment, and I stand by, I literally think just if the beginning of this, the actual 2-year jump at the beginning of this chapter was different, I think the chapter would be better, and I think the whole arc would be better. Not as good as the others, but it would be better. And I think because of the way I've read it, not week to week, and you just go, I think you just skip over this. Like not like you're not hanging out on it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for us, I have to read this and then I have to sit for 2 weeks and mull about it.
Right.
Or if you were a week to week reader, you had to read this. And then luckily, you got the interlude to like kind of cleanse the palate, so you had a week before you had to read, got to read the next arc, which is fire, as we've described. Like it's, if you are just going and you are binge reading this, this is a lull, but you are moving fast enough across the top of the water that you just bounce right over this.
It's like what, 20 minutes, half an hour of your time, and then you're on to the next chapter.
I say, if you're a slow reader.
Okay.
You're listening to the audiobook, maybe.
The audiobook is like 50 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, no, the audiobook is long.
Ooh.
I do have to just point out, I did find in my mind the perfect comp for this right now, which I was like, what other time skip happens halfway through the story in which the first half is told very slowly and the second half is sped up? And I landed on Rent, the musical, where the first act 1 is over the course of a day and act 2 is over the course of a year. And it is very jarring. And everybody who loves Rent, myself included, will all tell you it's stupid. And it's so hard to follow. It makes no sense and everybody hates it. But that's all I could think about while I was watching this. Really, I was thinking about, okay, here's where we place the musical numbers. Okay, so here's the solo. All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're in the musical.
We're in the musical.
I guess I hate Rent, but if you did Rent as instead of a, New York liberal being terrible, you just have Taylor, a teenager who thinks she's making all the right decisions, even though she's a villain terrorizing people, thinking that she's okay, but is terrible. Like, you know what? I get it. I think I could do that.
I love it. Palate cleanser, everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll get through this. And then I'll apologize to Michael.
Oh my God, this has gone so long. I didn't realize. Michael, I'm so sorry. Interlude with Bonesaw. Bonesaw puts Jack in stasis, works on making the slaughterhouse clones. We have a brief meeting with Contessa, and Riley, as Bonesaw's actual name is, meets a boy, and then everybody wakes up. The Slaughterhouse 9 is back, baby.
Bow, bow, bow.
Oh, and it's not just the Slaughterhouse 9 anymore.
It's the Slaughterhouse 9 expanded director's cut edition.
They give it a name later. I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up because it doesn't spoil anything. They call themselves the Slaughterhouse 9000. And I'm like, is that cheesy or good? Like, I don't know.
It's so cheesy, but when has that ever stopped a guy named Jack Slash?
That's great. That's great.
I mean, slightly jumping into it, but his like opening line is a bit pretentious, isn't he? Said fucking Jack Slash, the Johnny Depp of villains.
I love him so much.
Glad one person does.
Yeah. I definitely appreciated having Bonesaw's, I guess, not quite trigger event, but backstory a little bit. That's horrifying, and I wouldn't expect anything less from our favorite little murderer.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's It's very well written.
Yes. It feels like this is like the little treat, the tasty treat after we've just survived the last chapter. And now it's like you get rewarded for doing such a good job. Like, I'm so proud of you. You did so good. Here, have a little bit of Bonesaw for you. And this just her in the house, like running from room to room to room, like, oh my God. And wow. Just wow.
I honestly, this is what I was wanting out of the Slaughterhouse 9 visiting Brockton Bay. Like when we talk about the shard of glass, keeping Cherish awake from 3 days. We talk about this where she's running around trying to heal them and it's breaking her. Like, this is what I expected of the Slaughterhouse 9. Not fucking Mannequin getting his ass handed to him 3 times consecutively. Yeah, like not them just getting absolutely destroyed by a bunch of teenagers right off the bat. Like, this is what I honestly, the Slaughterhouse 9, and we'll have a quick aside, Jacob, I think they would do better as a smaller group of serial killers and less as a supervillain group. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this podcast.
Yeah. So Bonesaw puts them all in stasis, but then she decides, well, I don't want to put myself in because then who's going to be here to wake him up? We got to make sure their brains are all good. Which I love that she's thinking about that too. She's like, all right, we got to make sure the brains are good. Make sure like how do we recreate these people, right? Not just clones with their powers, but the people. And that's so interesting. And then just her with her actual self, Riley, and her meeting somebody, meeting Contessa. That whole like Contessa's being like, you're gonna give us the key to these people. And she's like, I'm not gonna betray Jack. And she's like, no, you will. You don't see it yet, but you will.
You will.
Just that confidence of like, we know it's gonna happen. It's so interesting. I don't know, it's crazy. It's a very crazy little interlude. I love her teaching Blasto how to do the like ABC song.
Oh yeah.
And then Blasto dies, which is sad, but what a life he had.
Good for him.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Like, not sad. That was a breath of fresh air. Just like, relief.
Yeah.
But he's still like his muscles are still moving. He's
like dancing, but it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
She tries to cuddle with him, but he's cold because he's
cold
dead.
and he's dead. It's so gross. It's so
gross.
Bonesaw. It's so Bonesaw. Like, oh gosh.
Okay, but at the end though, the big reveal is that she's planning to potentially betray Jack Slash.
Yes.
Which is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Like all this time alone gave her time to think and realize, maybe I want Riley to win, but not Bonesaw. It's almost like she's kind of going split personality, but not quite there exactly.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Well, she starts at the beginning of the interlude thinking about him as daddy, which is, obviously, but like, But she calls it. I mean, she calls him like he's like the dad of the family of the Slaughterhouse Nine if they are a little family, and she's the little daughter. And he, you know, he reads her. Shut up. And he like reads her bedtime stories, like you know, and so like if we start the interlude with her basically being like, oh yeah, Daddy Jack, and then we're ending it with her fake ass smile, like this fake smile lying straight to his face, knowing that they're like she's made her own plans while he slept. And I love that shift. It's so fun. So fun. Go Bonesaw.
Yeah,
go Riley.
It's so it's so interesting and so intricate. And then okay, so she makes tons of clones of everybody except for herself because she's worried she can't get herself right, which I think makes sense. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't think that's why she was doing it.
Also, she just doesn't want to, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
There's
she
more
didn't
to
try.
it. Like, yeah, she didn't really try. That's fair.
It's like her reasoning, but it's not like the real reason.
Yeah. That's right. So who does she make? She makes a ton of everybody. I love the little tea party between her and Damsel, and then her putting Alan down, basically.
Yeah.
There's not just when they start all stepping out. There's a ton of Allens that are all perfectly human because they have yet to mod themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a bunch of Neds.
Ned, who is crawling.
Yeah, it's like, give him time. Yet. We'll all torture the shit out of him, and then he'll be back to snuff.
God, I bet he named himself the masochist.
Probably. That would try.
Oh yeah, legally change it to Ned.
To Ned. Yeah.
Say my name, Ned. Oh no.
No.
Apologies to all of the Neds
I'm so
out there.
sorry.
I refuse to believe that somebody out there named their child Ned on purpose.
I once made out with a Ned at a New Year's Eve party.
I wouldn't admit that on a podcast.
You can cut that, Michael.
That's brand.
I mean, we all know it's short for. We all know it's short for Nedward, right?
Yeah. I thought it was Nonathan.
Nedithan.
Nedithan.
Nathaniel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nathaniel. There we go.
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel.
That's so bad.
Ned Muel.
Jesus. Okay, we're moving on. Is the kid at the shop that she talks to, is he creepy? Because I can't tell.
Also, kid is a strong word.
He's not
that
a
guy's
kid,
like
right?
He's in his 30s, and yes, he's a pedophile.
Oh.
Oh.
Hey, that's not. I clearly missed something when I was doing my read through. I must. Well, no,
because she mentions like she sees him watching her like through the mirrors that are set up in the store.
Yeah.
And then she's like, does he recognize me? No. Is he doing this? No. And she's like, and then she smiles and she's like, oh. I know why he's doing that.
Oh.
And it's like, oh. But I think that's the guy's. I think that's the other guy's dad. I don't think that's the guy that she talks to later.
Is that true? I thought that was him the whole time.
Because she seems to get a good vibe from the other guy later, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Because she does say that he has long hair, and then later she's like, oh, you got a haircut. I like the haircut.
Yeah, because he even invites her over, and she's like, you know why I can't do that. And before she like played it off.
Oh my gosh, I'm an
idiot. And then when she leaves, he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, now be good. I'm going to leave now.
Okay, so stupid Hannah, I read that as like, oh, when he's watching her through the mirrors, like, oh, because she's not a child anymore. Like she's a girl, a teenager, pretty teenager, I guess.
She's modified herself to stay looking young, even though she's in her
shit, that's right. Okay, so.
She's forever like, what, 12, I think, or something
she's a forever
like that.
puppy. Okay, I think mentally I just thought that she was fine when she wasn't.
Now she does kind of age herself back up at the end.
I thought she aged herself back
Or
down.
did she age herself back down?
She's
Back
technically she's
down.
supposed
Sorry,
to be.
that's right. Back down. Yeah,
she hits
Yeah,
puberty because she gets her first period, and she's like, "Fuck."
She's like, gross. Instant hysterectomy. She is
That's
supposed
right,
to be
right.
in the. She's supposed to be in one of the tubes. She's supposed to be in a test tube this whole time.
Yeah. Okay, right. She ages herself down to make herself
look like she had just recently stepped out.
Yeah. Okay, I'm remembering now. I kind of read this one quick, so I'm like piecing it together, right? But okay, so who are some of the people she makes besides that? She makes Winter. She's an interesting one. She's an entropy user.
I don't know what that
means. Which is so fascinating. Basically, like, so entropy is like the winding down of all things, right? Like energy will slowly dissipate out of the universe.
Yes.
And so essentially it sounds like she can influence that and like localize it so that way the effects of entropy speed up. I'm gonna Parahumans wiki it though. Because I want to make sure I get that right. But that was what I think Bonesaw said. Causes inertia as well, increasing. What did it say?
And temperature.
A dampening effect. Heat can seep out, losing inertia. Energy attacks lose their fizzle. Humans lose their willpower. And she could even concentrate it in a smaller area, halting all the motion. Which is interesting. But then there's, I'm trying to remember who else there is.
Chuckles,
a speedster.
Yep.
Horrifying. Everybody hates clowns.
We've got a couple of the combos.
Wombo combo.
We brought Murder Rat back, but smoothed out.
Yes, love that. Love that.
Tyrant back, which is another smoothed out double.
She made some new ones. She
Crimson
made
comes back.
Oh, sorry. Tyrant is a new one. Tyrant is King and
King.
Somebody else.
No, I think King was himself.
No, we have debated, but we have
we
have combos of.
She does all the capes, and then as a fun little like side project, she does a couple other mashups. I'm trying to pull I'm pulling it right now because I want to see what the list was.
Looking at the
last chapter. Okay, so
Slaughterhouse 9000.
Oh, that's a good idea to pull it up like that. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the originals: Jack Slash, Bonesaw, Hookwolf, Skinslip, and Night Hag.
Mm-hmm.
There's the 5 of them.
Yeah.
Then there's 1 Gray Boy and 5 Hybrid Capes. 9 Kings, 9 Screamers, 9 Harbingers, 9 Breeds, 9 Crimsons, 9 Nixes, 9 Psychosomas, 9 Cherishes, 9 Hatchet Faces, 9 Miasmas, 9 Murder Rats, 9 Mannequins, 9 Siberians, 9 Crawlers, 9 Chuckles, 9 Winters, 9 Nice Guys, 9 Night Hags, 9 Skin Slips, 9 Shatterbirds, 9 Burn Scars, and 9 Damsels of Distress.
Holy fucking shit. It's a lot of 9s.
9,000.
Quite a few. Not quite 9,000. But
it's a lot of people, though. God. It's like...
Yeah. It doesn't...
a lot of people.
It doesn't list all the hybrids, though, so one of them is probably Tyrant, then yeah.
Delightful. There's so many of them now.
Yep.
This was hard before. This is going to be fucking impossible now. But she did. So Contessa had said something about basically like putting in it sounded like the equivalent of a dead man's switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounded like she did. Like she put a switch in to just insta-kill if she needed to. That's what it kind of sounds like. I don't know if that's what she did, but it's what it sounds like she did.
Hmm.
But I'm excited. I freaking love the Slaughterhouse 9. I think they're very fun. So I'm glad to have them back. Back with a vengeance.
Fun. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's very. And then there's 1 Gray Boy.
Yes.
Because as Bonesaw says, Jack could only control one Gray Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fact that Bonesaw feels afraid of seeing him like make eye contact and come talk to her.
Yeah.
Shows like I love that because it adds this weight to who this character is. And she says like he has a knowing look, like he knows that she's planning to betray them, but he's like cool with it. It's such a good vibe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's got strong. What's a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. What is the shadow one with all the eyes?
Pride.
Oh, Pride. Yeah.
Is it Pride?
Yes, Pride.
Yeah. Strong Pride energy. Especially given the little like young boy school outfit.
They're like little friends now.
Yeah. And the fact that he's not wearing clothes and then he steps out and all of a sudden like shifts a little and he has clothes on. Like,
nice.
No explanation. Just really weird.
I will say this one, he almost feels like a recreation of the actual one, or like a reincarnation of the real Gray Boy, because of stuff like that, right? Rather than, oh, he's a clone of Gray Boy. It's like, is this just the real him? Like somehow come back? His powers are real wacky too. We'll get into that later.
I was about to say,
he's a crazy cape.
I feel like he's like
wackiness.
He is like extra buckets of trouble, but I can't remember why, and I don't know what his powers are, and I feel like there's things with
it's like, real fucky, Hannah.
There's history with him and Jack too, right? Like there's some major stuff that happened, but I just don't know what it is. Like I like, and you can tell by the way that she talks about him in here, like how afraid she is of him. It's like and he's just shit be happening.
So good.
Yeah, I just realized how the looking it up, but I figured out how the clothing works, which is real interesting because I did not know that before.
Oh, you looked up how his clothing works? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's like a specific thing.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, he comes out of the tube empty. Like not empty, I'm sorry. Yeah. He comes out of the tube naked and then all of a sudden he's dressed.
Because like I know his regular power.
Right.
No, he comes out naked. They all
come out naked.
And except for him, because he steps out and all of a sudden he's fully clothed in his little schoolboy outfit. And I know what his power is, so it's really weird that is the case. And so I was like, why the heck is that? You know, how is that related to his power? And then I looked and was like, oh.
Delightful.
Yeah, I think it's probably about that time.
Favorite powers?
Yeah. Classic Gwenye. All the time. Every day. Forever and ever. Amen.
Yeah, there's a lot of powers in this one. Mordnag gets a pretty cool mention. Probably mine, I think, just because we get a pretty good description and some fight scenes with her as well. So kind of get to see it in action. Yeah. It's pretty fun.
Mordnag, definitely super cool. Would have been mine, but I'll go with Topsy Turvy. I really have always enjoyed the idea of just shifting around, which direction gravity's going.
That's fun.
I think it's a really, really cool power, especially giving how, like, if you're just out in the open, they are screwed.
Yeah, right.
Nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, that part's very cool. I think Watch kind of as well, where it's like, similarly, it's like if he gets to you, then you're screwed, right? Kind of a similar thing. So I like Watch for that reason. I do think Mordnog, though, like that power, whatever it is incredible, and I'm just like blown away by it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know that there's many other powers that could top it. I'm gonna be honest.
For new powers, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, for new powers for sure.
Basta Gwenye is up there as well. They're both very cool.
Yeah, we don't really know what she does yet. I mean, we know because we remember kind of, but
I don't remember. I just know that
you've got a case of the wormnesia.
I do. I just remember that the last time I read this, that she was one of my favorite capes, and she appeared, and I had to say her because I love her, and also she's so freaking cool.
Yeah, she's cool.
I love everything about her.
Well.
Alrighty.
Any final thoughts on Arc 25? Beautiful.
Not the most exciting, but it ended well with a great interlude. Probably one of the best. So
yeah, very very good interlude. Yeah,
get hyped.
I'm ready. I'm ready and raring to jump into 26.
Arc 25, no longer my best friend. Arc 26 is my best friend. Thank you all for joining. I say that to you all as in this group. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun. And thank you to you all, big gesture to the audience, for listening to our rants and our rambles and all of our nonsense we've been going on. Who knows? We've been recording for 3 hours, so I guess we'll see what that ends up looking like on the cutting room floor. Little behind the scenes sneak peek. See how much of that is useful.
How did it get longer after he edited it?
Yeah, right.
All of a sudden, it's 3.5 hours. Like, what happened?
Exactly.
Where did all that extra content come from?
But speaking of extra content,
yeah,
we do record extra content for our beautiful patrons who have made a lot of this possible, keeping us going. If you've been listening for 25 arcs and have enjoyed our content, we'd love to have you over there. We got a Discord, we got patrons, we got bonus content, we got clips, stuff that was cut, other episodes on Worm and Not Worm, whole bunch of fun stuff. Come and join us. Have a blast. We'd love to have you. And if not, that's cool too. Thank you so much for listening. We love reading all of your comments on YouTube and Reddit and Instagram and our other platforms. A lot of really fun thoughts. Love hearing from the community. So keep it coming. And next week, join Alan and myself for an episode of Dissecting Worm. We're going to be dissecting Arc 25. And then following that, Arc 26. Slaughterhouse 9,000. Things get good. And with that, Michael, would you do us the honors of playing us out?
Thank you so much for listening. Read along with us at parahumans.wordpress.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you love? What did you hate? Anything you think we missed, etc., as long as it's kind. If you'd like to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit at Brocktonbaybc, or click the link in the description.